was off, Tom. My mic was turned weird. This is what are we doing? I think it's a big week for Florida State. It's all relative, everybody. It's all relative. As big a week as you can have contained within a poop sandwich, which is what this season has been for us. So it's sort of like, well, here's the good part of the sandwich. This one's got a little bit of mayonnaise.
Well, the only way to make a poop sandwich worse is to add mayo.
No, if it's a poop sandwich, you'd want anything other than the poop. So
I don't think so.
I think so. Love me. Hey, I got my old case, which is my new case. Funny, it's the little things that work for you in this world. Look at that, guys. It's back. It's back if you're watching on there. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's just gorgeous. And they dropped 51 on New Orleans. Take that 50 spot plus with you, New Orleans. Take that back with you. Sweet Jesus.
So 45 offensive points and 3 interceptions. So, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been much, much worse
Short
if
possessions.
New Orleans wasn't getting a bunch of deflections.
Yeah, could have been 60. Who knows?
So there it is. Big week for Florida State to beat Duke. Never in this program's history have we lost to Duke. Let's not start now. Very few things remain sacred as far as Florida State streaks go in the midst of a 1-5 campaign, or even at the end of the lost decade. Many of the all-time great streaks were put to rest during the lost decade. And then whichever ones remained were obliterated when Jinbo's spiral turned into Willie's fancy. And then, at that point, we ended up with sort of just a bunch of other things that, oh, you think that'll stand, will you? Kapah! Shattered. And so, there are very few intact, but that this has never happened, and we've never done that. So there you go. One of them is that Duke has not beaten us. Let's not start now. Sweet Jesus, let's start now. 2 weeks to prepare for Duke. The last time we had 2 weeks to prepare for anybody, it didn't turn out well. I suspect it will turn out well this time around, Tom. I think that I feel good. I feel, again, it's relative. I feel about as good as you can feel with that kind of a sandwich presented.
What kind of a sandwich was it?
A poop sandwich. So that's where we're at. We're like, okay.
What kind of bread?
Oh, does it really matter?
It does.
Pumpernickel.
Ooh. Oh, it kind of blends in.
I'm trying to make it worse.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to make it worse.
I don't know where the pumpernickel ends and the poop begins.
Oh, buddy. Yeah. So let's see if we can get this right. Let me show you this. This is pretty crazy too. Tom, you had a good weekend as well. I'm going to check the old Hard Rock app here, which was on a roll. Finished. That's what we're looking at. Finished bets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was wrong. I told you 12. It was 10.
Oh,
I missed one in between.
Show the people the green. They want to see the green.
Bunch of green. But it was pretty cool. I was and not all of them, some of them are just pizza money bets. Just a little sprinkling here, a little sprinkling there, a little sprinkling over here. I had, what it is? It's the NFL, man. The NFL. I got to do a redemption with just all NFL picks, but I wait till Friday to make my NFL picks. And their prop bets are a lot of them. A ton of overs this week. I bet a ton of overs. The other thing that we've learned is that home field advantage does not exist in the NFL. Doesn't exist. You don't have to worry about who's at home and who's not. And
anytime you roll into the Superdome,
Well, I'm just talking about in general. Like if you go look it up, I had it written here. Let's see. That was Packers, Eagles, Ravens, and you don't count the Bears because they were in London, which is supposed to be Jacksonville's home away from home. Anyhow, you have Packers, Eagles, Ravens as the only home teams that won. That's it. Everybody else lost that was at home. Think about that.
And Philly did not cover.
But they did win.
I know. Just for the record.
For the record, Philly did not cover. You happen to know that one. 3 o'clock, the third hour, some more NFL tidbits for you. Other than I do look forward to saying this in the third hour, so much so that I'll say it in the first hour. Happy birthday, Jerry Jones. Your team is ass cheeks. Just a bunch of ass cheeks out here in Dallas. My goodness gracious.
I wouldn't go far to say ass cheeks.
Ass cheeks, Jera.
I'm not thinking about making a change.
Ass cheeks, buddy. Detroit was throwing passes to backup offensive linemen because they could.
So you say.
Ass cheeks. Happy birthday. That was something to behold. That is rude. I wanted to stop. I wanted to throw a flag for rudeness. That's a personal foul, Dan Campbell, for rudeness. We're throwing to backup offensive linemen out here in this game in Dallas on Jerry's birthday. We're running a hitch with a backup tackle because we can. What is that?
There he is.
Oh no! Look at that. That is a toughie.
That was after the scrum yesterday, and I did take the opportunity to say I used it myself. Mets fans after watching Sanga's first 20 pitches.
Well, and the Mets need to stop rolling him out there like he's some sort of ace coming back off that injury. He's been booty cheeks as well. Let's stop doing that.
He gave up 1 run to the Phillies in 2 innings.
He hasn't looked good.
Yesterday, of course not.
No, I don't think he looks good. He doesn't look like the guy that you loved before the injury.
Right, we got the Dodgers right where we want them. Feeling very good.
You do have Mania tonight, so there you go. More on that in the third hour. Back to Florida State. You know, I will tell you, I did this over the weekend. This is in reference to Florida State. And I hate it because I think a lot of fans, Florida State fans, have did that this weekend. First of all, it was glorious. And we need to take the time on a Monday when you got to go back to work and it's been a long college football season and we're only halfway through. You got to remind yourself sometimes the little things, right? We love the game. We love football. And I personally love the fall, especially when it begins to feel like the fall. We only get so much of that in Florida. So when this weekend rolled in and the cool temperatures hit, I knew Saturday was going to be glorious. I was going to wake up early. I took it, well, every Friday these days in the fall, I take it easy, unlike in years past, because I'm always at my son's football game. And, you know, I'm not going to be boozing it up at a high school football game that my son's playing in.
That's what you have to tell the audience. So that's a wise move.
No, I'm driving to these away games. For some reason, Leon, which has a dearth of talent, schedules as if they're the 86 Bears and play every great team that's ever been. Let's go from Lincoln over to Mariana. They're undefeated too. And the kid that's at running back, who I got to see up close and personal that we just offered at Florida State, is a stud. He's been offered by Miami, Florida State, Kentucky, Georgia. He's good, Tom. He's really good. But the same goes for like every weekend. I'm like, oh, this weekend they got Bradford. I'm like, I think they're ranked like number 1 in the state. This is going to be 100 and something to nothing. So that's what we're doing at Leon.
Which is why you need to, maintain. Make sure you're not Dennis Hopper over here. Just walking out
onto the field. I feel like it watching this team.
Come on.
Yeah, no.
Run the clock.
That was a foul. So
holding.
Yeah, at the end of the day, so Fridays I keep it together. We come home and we're just chilling. And, by the time Bryce gets home, it's like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. We talk a little bit about the game, go to bed. That leads to a perfect Saturday, though, because I'm up bright and early. Whole family's asleep. They're all lazy bums sleeping in the whole time. Well, 2 of them are in high school. That's what kids do. They can sleep till 2 p.m. It's remarkable what happens to kids. But my wife is not a morning person, and I am, and that's always been a problem for us in that I get up first thing. You were temporarily married to me for a weekend in Charlotte where we were there and I got up and we happened to, this is the last time we ever shared a hotel room, and it was on the company dime is why we had to do it. Also, as grown-ups, you never should share a hotel room. But we were, and I got up because that's what I do. I get up.
Yeah.
And I got up and I thought, well, this is boring. Let's wake Tom up. I gave him till 7.
How does this benefit me most? Let me wake his ass up. He looks very peaceful
I
right
thought
now.
you might want some breakfast. We were going to get breakfast.
10.
10. Yeah, it's practically middle of the day. So I said, come on, let's go get us some breakfast. And it was nice and chilly that day, too.
It was windy as hell.
Yeah. So we had a good time. Anyhow, so
Harbinger of Rockaway. That day was ridiculous.
It was windy, and we were in shorts, and we were on some railroad. Well, how did we get lost looking for like a bagel joint?
That was a different. Oh, okay. Yeah.
A bagel joint.
The railroad tracks in Charlotte. That was a different trip.
So long story short, I was prepped for this Saturday of football that we had. Opened up all the windows, had that cross breeze coming in through the house there, buddy. Front door open, back door open, both doors to the decks open, windows in the bedroom. That's why my wife got upset, is that as soon as I got up, 5:15, she's sound asleep. I'm flipping open windows, baby.
Yeah. The New York Giants know the back door is open.
They do. That So that fumble, by the way, on the long run from Cincinnati had my heart in my throat. Cincinnati was the final leg of a 6-leg parlay that I won.
They call it the insect.
Final leg of a 6-leg parlay that I won. And Hard Rock's asking me to cash out. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel awfully good about the other 5 that I won. I really would like to hit this 16 parlay.
It sounds like you're reading a screenplay for Brady Hoke and not a character.
I was like, ooh. I was sitting up watching.
You feel very good about these other 5 legs.
No, I was very angry that Cincinnati was trying to screw me out of a 6-leg parlay against the sorry Giants. So there I was. I held on to it. That's belief. That's belief.
That's the breeze coming through the back door.
It worked out well, and I took it and got it, and that's 6. Anyhow, so I watched college football without the threat of Florida State crushing my soul on Saturday. Nothing was going to ruin my experience on Saturday. My Saturday planned out perfectly. It was a true park your ass Saturday. I didn't do anything. It was the laziest Saturday of my existence, and that's saying something. I did nothing but watch football. Occasionally got up, grabbed a beer, sandwich, enjoyed myself, flipped over to the other game. You're not wrong, by the way. YouTube TV is where it's at.
It is, yeah.
I had 3 TVs to go in addition to my 85-incher. So I had that going with, well, they weren't all TVs. One was a big laptop, and the other one was an iPad, one of the big iPads.
iPad?
Yeah. Yeah, PPS. So there I was, and I had the multi-game, multi-view going on the big screen, Tom. So I've had, I got 3-4 games going on at one time, and I'm seeing which ones are interesting, which ones not. I got the main game over here. I got another game over here. All wagers.
The key in the multi is the audio switch being nearly instantaneous.
It's so good.
If you do it for the first time in a while, it'll take 5 good seconds, but then after that, it's just like perfect. So you never have to hear a commercial.
The audio switch is amazing. Also, the frame by frame, going back and watching a play. Maffa ran over this kid for Wake Forest in a very similar fashion that he did to Kirkland. Only I wanted to freeze frame this one and send it to Kirkland and say, don't feel bad, because this kid got even more brutal. How many of you all saw it? It was criminal. It was a beautiful delayed draw, and he had a head of steam. Nobody touched him. He got to the second level, and he was at full speed, and I went, oh, no. Some poor safety, and I've been on the wrong end of that, some poor safety's got to come up and tackle this grown-ass man who is running whatever he's running, 4'5", 230 pounds.
It probably is that fast. He's fast.
Buddy, at that size, it is wrong. But that kid for Wake, bad angle, everything about it. He couldn't get low enough, and it was what reminded me a little bit of was it Dexter Reed? Who's on the other end of
Greg Jones.
Greg Jones, yeah. It without being punched and flying through the air as if a superhero just hit some imaginary force field at you. But it was silly. So that kid got brutalized. There you go, Brett. You saw it. How bad did you feel? I mean, it was wrong. What happened to that kid? Just his head jerked back, and his head hit the. I couldn't. Called my son, both my boys, and get in here, boys. Got to see this poor emasculation. And I did it, and it was awesome. And I watched it, and it was anyhow. That was just part of the bigger day. But I stayed up all the way through the Kansas State-Colorado game, 1:30 in the morning. Stayed up, watched all of that. Saw Kansas State try to lose the game, then come back from having tried to lose the game to win the game. Great game, fun game to watch. Back and forth they went. Cool game. So like 1:30, 1:40 in the morning, I just got up from the couch after having been there all day with my son. Bryce stood up. I was like, that's a good day of football. And we just nodded. We did the knowing nod and nodded, and we hugged. I said, I'll see you in the morning. He goes, what time does the Bucks play? Now, that is a beautiful moment.
Yeah. That's
what a moment.
In under 12 hours, son. 12 hours.
Get you some rest. We'll be up watching football tomorrow. So bottom line is, what did that football do, and how do I relate it to Florida State? What did me watching all of those football games, whether it be LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina, the freaking Pitt game was amazing the way that ended. Poor Cal. There you go, Pitt. Hang in there, undefeated. You win by a point every week. Narduzzi's just steady over here winning 20-19, 17-15, 21-20, 10-9, 13-12. Every week it's Pitt. Watching that. I watched Clemson, Wake, some Ohio State, Oregon, of course, Tennessee, Florida. Oh, goodness gracious, Billy Napier, you coward. Anyhow, so he doesn't go for 2, cements his departure from Florida by not going for 2. All of these things. I'm just watching. Man, how good. USC, Penn State, watched all. I had it all. And it was enjoyable because I could not be harmed by the incompetence, the ineptitude, the infuriating irrelevance of Florida State football. I didn't have to, I wasn't burdened by that, knowing most of the time when I'm watching all these other games, I'm like, oh, gonna have to tune into that Florida State game when it kicks off. Damn it, man. It's going to ruin my day. It's going to ruin my night. Or it just starts off the day. Let's say it kicks at noon. Ruins my noon o'clock window, and then from there, Tom, you're kind of just miserable all day thinking back on the misery you saw at noon. So this was unburdened by the weakness of Florida State, the ineptitude, as I say, the incompetence, the impotence of Florida State football. No, could not distract me, could not bother me. And yet, watching all of that did create some content, which we'll get into next on the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
With bachelor's and law degrees from Florida State University, he's a small business owner in Tallahassee who's worked in courts all over Florida. A trial lawyer who works in Leon County Court every day. A husband and father tied to our community. A pro bono award winner with a commitment to giving back. And if elected with your help and your vote, a Leon County judge. Vote Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
Paid for and approved by Robert Churchill for Leon County Judge, Seat 4.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 222-5781.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly served the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
and we make lawns greener too.
Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Bar Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those dark leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Bar Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Bar Construction.com.
CCC 1331204.
We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as the discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25. Discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit. Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Rolling on. I said before we went to break that we were, this weekend was a great weekend. Got to watch all of that great football without the threat of being harmed by Florida State football. And that was great. But what it did do is it bothered me, Tom. It bothered me. And it bothered me because, and I want to phrase this the right way because I get it. I'm over here describing the chicken soup of the football soul for the weekend. And yet I know that not every one of these teams that I was watching that I said in my mind would easily beat Florida State upon first glance. Because there must have been 60 of those that I watched this weekend in which I went, yeah, they beat us. They look well coached. They'd beat us. They'd beat us. And some of them are like Kennesaw State. So I know that's not right. It's like, Jeff, you can't say everybody you're watching right now just because they're playing competently means they would beat Florida State. But it felt that way as I was watching all of that competent football being played by and large. There are moments. Not everybody is. And I know it's unscientific when we talk about the eye test. As we know, it can be very unreliable, the eye test. Ask Mike, ask the entire collective media, ask everybody who assessed any of the – hell, ask the beat of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who told everybody that this was the greatest room they'd had in Jacksonville, that everybody was kumbaya, the synergy was incredible. Now the players after the games are telling everybody that they quit, and the coach is asking if they have any character. Everybody can get it wrong. The eye test can really run you astray. It can. We know that eyewitness testimony is often refuted and shown to be a source of erroneous convictions. An alarming number of cases have proven that to be true. So having that backdrop for which I say this, but again, I'm kind of convinced that the overhaul necessary for Florida State is a massive undertaking. Like, I think you have some surface level reasons to be excited about the roster. I'm talking about the roster. I'm talking about delving into the depth of the roster. Because I think there's some frontline talent that I like. A lot of it is very young. And we're hoping that Brock is one of those guys. I'm already excited about Brock. And I want to see how he plays now with 2 weeks as the starting quarterback to prepare for a game and know that you're going to be the man.
Well, I mean, Luke's done very well also. Luke has been
That was brought up
excellent.
today. That was brought up today. But the question included Luke. If we're being fair, it included Luke. Ira asked it.
I wasn't calling the question today. I'm making sure that you know.
Yeah, that Luke is on the team too.
Hey, look out.
Hey. So anyhow, Brock could be that. The 2 young tight ends could be that. A couple of young receivers could be that.
Youth movement on the offensive line.
Well,
a little bit of shuffle.
I saw that. Early's going to guard.
And Otto's playing left now.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what you need. This is what you need to do. Well, you find out what you have.
I don't disagree. You got to do it. But what's behind any of that? Like, what's behind that? There's not enough. If any of those guys go down, you're screwed.
Well, it's a word that starts with D and ends with aspiration.
Uh-huh.
That's what's behind it.
No, I know what the fuel for the fire is. I know why he's doing what he's doing, and I agree with it. I would have started to do it a little sooner. In fact, we've had that conversation.
And he would tell you it's a word that starts with O and ends with paternity. Yeah.
It is indeed a wonderful opportunity, Tom.
Right.
Yeah, for many of these guys. Yes. And today was a good work day, just for good measure.
Yeah.
It was a good work day.
It was a really good day.
Thought they took advantage of the opportunity.
Both sides of the ball played well.
Yeah, good out. Yeah. Really felt like they got after it. So the point would be that I hate this incessant reliance on a rash of portal players to plug the massive holes in your roster, but it feels like you're going to have to do it again, and I don't think you should, and yet I'm confronted with the answer that if you don't, might we see a similar looking season next year? Maybe not to this degree, but it won't be up to standard. So you're in a catch-22. You're in a bind. You are stuck in a terrible quandary. And ultimately, when you're in that sort of a bind, yes, the blame is laid at your feet. You're the head coach. But which way to go from here is tough to know and will be infinitely fascinating. And the decision that is made by him and the staff, and I suppose others are involved now within the administration at this point, how you go about altering the overall depth of talent on your roster for a quick turnaround, like you once did upon your arrival. Being confronted with that now is really frustrating and silly in year 5, but it doesn't make it not so. It's kind of where I think they're at, and I don't know the right answer. He's paid $10 million to know it. He's got to figure it out. Whatever it might be. I'm curious to see what he does. It does start this Saturday. It started some last Saturday. Not this one we just had, but the one before. It is playing all the young guys and assessing what and who they are and what they can be for you next year, and then filling in the pieces around it. It is doing that. to the extent that you have to do it through the portal or prep ranks, well, I think your prep recruiting is probably lit on fire. You probably torched it. How many kids are you going to convince from a high school to come in here with, recruiters that are certainly not dynamic, haven't proven themselves to be elite, to say the least, and with this record, with this product?
7.
So 7's not going to be enough, Tom. 7's probably not going to turn it around.
Well, I'm talking about 7 blue chippers that you're going to overpay because,
Yes, because they've got you bent over the barrel. Got it.
Indeed.
So those 7.
Maybe CJ Wiley sticks. I'm starting to think.
I don't know, buddy. But I will tell you, man, it does feel, even after watching and taking in all of that football, more daunting. Despite not being in a position to be harmed on Saturday, this past Saturday, I still felt the avalanche of frustration that consumes all of us on a weekly basis when Florida State does play. Because at the end of it all, I was walking to bed thinking, that's way too many teams that I think are very capable of beating us. Way too many. Purely, not even like matching scheme, just talent. And that is a bit overwhelming. That's sort of the takeaway of, yeah, they got that, do they? They're 5th in the AAC. And they've got real competence at that position. That's a toughie. Like, that's hard to swallow.
Well, it's the fact that they know where they're going. That more than talent, that's the thing to me, is guys look like they know where they're going.
Oh, they're coached well.
They embrace what they are, or, even when they're not,
are not, right?
Yeah, when they're not good enough, they know I still need to be here and take on this block. And it's going to be a gain of 8. But if I don't do this, it's a gain of 25. And damn it, there's pride in taking on that block and making the guys stutter step for a gain of 8 on a 3rd and 5 when they disrespect us and run the ball because they know we're not good enough, but I'm going to do my job. You see that. There's a lot of that.
You do.
The offensive line. You see communication in pass protection. Guys might get beat. They might get put on their butt over and over again. But you know what they do? They communicate, and at least he's in front of the defender instead of letting him skirt by his hip. Ole, ole. These types of things are what piss me off, more than looking at talent disparities relative to where we are.
So if you combine the things that stand out to me currently and the things that you're watching and getting pissed by, we have a sandwich that I described to start the show.
Yeah, let me do a foot long of poop on pumpernickel.
No, nothing else.
Toasted.
Know your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass. Also, by the way, find out where all that visceral fat is. I know where my visceral fat is. It's in the place where the beer goes. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO max is important. You'll learn about that. It's an indicator of longevity. You get the RMR test, reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses. They have the red light therapy, soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, rejuvenates your skin. Right now, you can get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just 99 bones. That's not much. It's normally double that. Call 850-510-7728 or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book it. Know your body, transform your life this fall with DexaFit. Don't forget, use the Jeff25 code and save you some money while you're at it again. Chef Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
In addition to law enforcement and linemen, the Florida National Guard is also responding to the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Governor DeSantis said 6,500 soldiers and airmen have been activated, including emergency management assistance compact units, to help with recovery efforts in impacted areas. National Guard units from other states are also helping, including units from South Carolina, Virginia, Michigan, New York, and Louisiana. There are also liaison officers stationed in 26 counties who have received 124 missions to assist with rescues and recovery, the Florida Guard had 31 rotary aircraft, 13 boats, and around 440 high-wheeled tactical vehicles. The FLNG will help local authorities with search and rescue operations, clearing roads, supporting law enforcement, distributing supplies, and food mitigation, among other necessary actions. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs level off around 88 this afternoon. Under clear skies, west winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows around 59. Highs level off around 81 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Clear skies and dry Wednesday and Thursday with highs in the upper 60s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 82.
Social Kitchen on Cary Forest Parkway is your place for all things related to football season. Need steaks? Social Kitchen. Need chef-prepared sides and appetizers? Social Kitchen. Need desserts for a party? Social Kitchen. Anything you need this fall, Social Kitchen has you covered. Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides that are ready to serve in under 20 minutes. Stop in or visit online at socialkitchentlh.com. There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So, like different, breeds, like different kinds of.
There's like families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch
or the Yeti, right?
Yeah,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Curious, though, to see how Florida State plays in this game. So, enough of the carnage. We've spoken on the carnage a lot. It's not something you can ignore. You can't pretend it's not happening. You can't pretend that it's not informing the discussion. No matter how you effort to be positive or try to see the bright side of things, it's really not reasonable or possible to spend too much time on that without the caveats of, well, but this and that. I get that. But I am buoyed by Brock's performance in the last game against Clemson, and I am anticipating him to continue to grow. Now, success, as they say, is not always linear. I understand we're going to have moments where he takes a step back and looks really young, because he is, and he's going to make mistakes. But the what for with which he plays and the want to with which he plays is a welcome respite from the morbid, downright emotional / seemingly disinterested approach of DJ to playing football is a welcome sight. I'm not saying DJ was, but body language, the hopelessness of the offense with him at the helm, because he can't get out of the way, and just the results, all of that, it goes to the back burner now, and you do have something else to look forward to. You have a more athletic, more eager, more enthusiastic, and I think perhaps a better leader, because he was within the program at the helm now. And guys want to play for that. They want to follow that. We'll see how long. That can be beaten out of you pretty quick if the results aren't there. But I certainly hope that we see a progression from him this weekend. And Mike saying today about practice, I ignored the early stuff. That's usually just, as they say, sort of gibberish. He's just talking about, I had a good day, another good day, blah, blah, blah. I got all that. But what he also said today was that he loved it was both quarterbacks, Tom, but he was asked
He was asked both quarterbacks, yeah.
I was going to say, he was asked about both quarterbacks. So in fairness, I didn't mind that he brought it up. He talked about how competitive they are with each other, and that was a good thing, right? Like that when they get their opportunities, they're excited to get after it. And he talked also a little bit about, I thought it was good to hear him talk about there was a different kind of fight in them. He's trying to be nice, but at the same time, he is illuminating what he sees that is different with them at the helm right now, quarterback, than what was there previous.
Yeah, it's the subtext of that means it was not here previous and now it is.
Right.
And so there's an urgency to what they're doing. It's a lab experiment, but it's a fun lab experiment for these next 6 games. Because you're going to know, hopefully so, hopefully something like injuries don't happen to derail the assessment. But you're going to know at the end of the 6 games who you want to ride with next year, at least from this current roster.
Yeah.
And what you will also know what you want to do from a portal standpoint. I think he's got to have an idea of what he wants to do with the staff. And that's where, to me, having the time away from this team over the weekend was great for a lot of reasons. You illuminated many of them, which is just you get to sit down on the couch and watch college football without a yeah, but. Because with us, there's a lot of yeah, but energy. And that's great. But also, I find that I've got a better handle on the situation. Like, this season is lost. Let's make it an experiment and make it a fun one with the young kids. And Mike Norvell said he wanted to do that. He wanted to make drastic changes if they were necessary, especially on the ground. You're seeing depth chart changes. You're seeing inclusion of younger players at skill positions on the offensive line, obviously a quarterback. Like, DJ's not even listed on the 2 deep at this point.
First of all, he's hurt, so he couldn't be. Secondly, he wouldn't. He doesn't need to be.
Coaches mess with that stuff all the time.
They do. They certainly do.
And he doesn't have an or with Luke. He's got Brock standing alone. So there are reasons to be excited there. The thing I would say, though, and I don't think I'm trying too hard here, because this is how I honestly feel. The choice to do it the way they did it this offseason, to run it back, try to retool on the fly and go get DJ, might be the best thing that ever happened to Mike Norvell for the 2.0 existence of his career. Now, he's got to survive this barrage. But if winning is the ultimate deodorant, then what they did this offseason is the opposite of that. It's the ultimate poop sandwich. You could smell it coming a mile away. It's in the air fryer. Poop sandwich, 425 degrees.
Ooh. Trying to make it a crispy one.
It shines a light on how bad the operation is. If you had Brock start this season, if you had somebody not named DJ who was mobile start this season.
Yeah, you might be 3-2 and prolong the changes that are necessary.
Precisely.
Yeah.
This is what happened is so stark.
It forces you.
That it forces you to do something that you might not have done if you were treading water and we would be stuck in the middle. This forces action.
You certainly found a way to shine a light on maybe the one bit or the best way to spin it positive if you were trying to. No, you're right.
Look, NFL football, you're in jail in the old school way at 7-9, 8-8, 9-7.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's an extra game.
Good enough to get a coach fired.
And good enough to not have a good draft pick.
Yeah, to be picking 18th, yeah.
Right, to not have a quarterback who can, so you're just stuck. The Brad Childress Minnesota Vikings, just forever stuck right in the middle. Oh, they made the playoffs a bunch. What are they going to do? Anything?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. You lose on Wild Card Sunday, and you're going to get the 4th best tackle off the board. That doesn't help my operation. Florida State is closer to a better time.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to live in the middle for very long. There is no middle that they're living in.
There is no chance to lie to yourself.
Correct.
I think you're right about that. I had that discussion with my dad that, listen, I said, when we see things like this, I'll never forget, for you old timers out there, you'll remember this. Walking out of Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field, after Wake Forest beat us 30-0. And I had been on the air for years beating the drum about Jeff Bowden's incompetence as an OC and Bowden's poor decision-making in the twilight of his career, and some of the frustrations that we all felt, and the arguments amongst the fans and everything. It was just sickening, right? Because you felt like you were stuck and that you couldn't get out from under it, and, which was the best route to go, and, what do you do when you have a legend in place? But that night, that cold and rainy night, told everybody everywhere This cannot stand, man. There is nothing you can point to now to defend what we're looking at here. We just lost 30-0 at home to Wake effing Forest. And it really shouldn't have been that close. We didn't score a point. And we walked out of there, all of us, miserable. And there was a see, I told you so moment, followed by a go to hell, you inconsiderate, da-da-da-da, and everything back and forth it went, right? But nobody was under some grand delusion that it was going to turn around. Everybody knew, okay, the time is nigh. We're going to have to do this, and soon, because this isn't going to get better. And what this did, Tom, to your point, was fast-track it for this particular iteration. This is now a Mike, you were able to do a very good thing, and you deserve credit for it. This program got turned around because you had the foresight to really hammer the portal at a time where people were tiptoeing around and barely wading out into those waters. You attacked it aggressively, knowing that that was the best way to get this program to being back to being competitive. And in some ways, you got a little unlucky in that you were almost too good at it because Florida State didn't just become competitive. They won the conference again. They had an undefeated regular season. They won 10 games the year before that, and it ratcheted up these expectations. But more importantly, it held the wool over our eyes as to the process and some other things that needed to be done, some other things that needed to be looked at. Right now, you're forced to confront all of that. I agree with that. The problem is you'd like to ease into that, the process is a little flawed. We need to tweak this and tweak that, as opposed to, oh, man, can you survive this? That's tough. And you know what I think the answer is to that question? I think the answer to that question is we'll see, A, because none of us know, and B, the reason none of us know, especially in this case, is because college football has changed so much. This is not the same landscape as when Bobby got beat 30-0 at home by Wake. It's not the same process. None of it is. Not recruiting, not how coaching works, not how seasons are stacked, none of that. We're seeing already some very strange results in college football this year. There are a lot of really good coaches that are having a hard time. Lance Leipold is one of the best coaches in college football. Kansas was a preseason top 20. That team's not any good. And they had a really, an upwardly mobile trajectory for the last 2 years under him. You look at that Missouri team. I know they bounced back against UMass this weekend, but they're not good. They were top 10 before the season. They're not good. They're not. And you're starting to see a lot of kind of, wonder how that's going to go. That's interesting. We may see some 6-6 and some 5-7s from teams that were preseason top 25. And that's a bit more drastic than what we're used to seeing when seasons go south. And maybe that's just the new norm in the era of unlimited transfers and NIL.
I think this season had a chance to go a lot better if you won early.
If you had beaten Georgia Tech even.
Yes, and you would have had to survive that one because you had outplayed after the first drive. But let's just say that you did. Let's say that you make a tackle at 2 yards instead of allowing for 12, and they don't kick a game-winning field goal. You go to overtime, you win that game. This season might have been very different. It's the antithesis of LSU the first go-around. If Brian Kelly goes for 2 and you lose that football game and you choke it away, because that would have been a special choke job, do you win 10? You go 10-3 that year?
Probably
no
not.
way.
Probably not.
And what does that do for the next season?
Yeah.
Do you retain all your guys? Probably not. You needed a break to go your way to facilitate what was to come, which was 9-3, a bowl win, and then an undefeated season thereafter. Everybody wanted to come back. I don't know, man. You choke against LSU, maybe that's how fickle these things can be.
Yeah.
And so to be fair, I think this season could have been a lot better with the way that they constructed the team if you find a way to get out of Georgia Tech and people have a little bit of confidence on that flight home from Dublin.
Your point is that would not have been good because the changes that we're clamoring for still would have need to be made, and they wouldn't have been if Florida State goes 7-5 or 8-4.
Yeah, I think you're closer to a more sustainable good product today than you were before kickoff in Dublin because it has gotten so bad. Yeah. Now, hopefully Mike is the guy that is standing there at the podium to celebrate it all.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I don't think it's good to constantly have to change. I agree.
I'm totally with you. It's just that like you said, there's no running from it now. This must be addressed. When you have captured the attention of the athletic director and the board and whoever,
all the money people,
all the boosters,
yeah.
and you've got no argument, and you last week during the bye week say, well, we have to make changes. We have philosophically, we've got to do something different. And then the depth chart, which Mike says means nothing, but yet he continues to update it, has drastic changes. Good. Okay, that tells me that your mind is in the place of here comes a metamorphosis.
Yeah, and I think, by the way, that I believe that Mike had no choice, true, but it doesn't mean that he couldn't have gone the way of so many other coaches. And we'll see, because he still has to execute this plan. And it is fascinating. It's a two-pronged thing. A lot of these guys dig their feet in. They live in a bubble. They're the most powerful man on campus, or certainly within the athletic department. They have gotten as far in the coaching world in their chosen profession as they have by being right so often that so seldom is the situation when somebody can confront them and tell them they're wrong until the evidence is this overwhelming. So you have a lot of things happening that force now him to make these changes, right? Which is a good thing. On the other hand, I need to see changes in season that shows me that you can adapt to this kind of adversity and win some damn football games. That's why this Duke game feels important to me. You're not going anywhere, but you have a chance to at least rectify some ills from the first half of the season. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping.
Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps.
Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors.
And we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless.
Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
Pinch A Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's Hot Tub Hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1. Health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch A Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Honey, I'm home.
We're in here, honey.
So why are all my friends here?
Have a seat, Dave. We need to talk about your problem.
Problem? I don't have a problem.
Dave, you do have a problem. A problem with your grill. Here's some pamphlets from Hearth and Patio. They are waiting for your call to help you upgrade your grill.
If you or someone you know needs a grilling intervention, call Hearth and Patio today at 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or hearthpatiotallahassie.com.
Every journey starts with a first step, a daring step. But what they don't say about first steps is that you have to keep going, taking step after step, and eventually you take a big leap, accomplishing more than you ever thought possible. After 57 years, Tallahassee Community College is soaring even higher, and we're now officially Tallahassee State College. We invite you to take a step and visit Tallahassee State College. Learn more at tsc.fl.edu.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Present Tallahassee.
Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Palmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
Jacksonville Jaguars laying 5.5 against the New England Patriots at Wembley Stadium in London on Sunday morning. The total 42.5. At Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday, the Bears mauled the Jacksonville Jaguars 35-16 as a 1.5 underdog. The Jags are 1-5 to start the season. Monday Night Football today, the Bills are 1-point favorite of the New York Jets, 40.5 the total. College football Friday night, Duke playing 3 against Florida State at Wallace Wade Stadium, 42.5 the total. Florida Gators laying 2 at home with Kentucky, the total 42 at the Swamp. Georgia, 3.5-point dog at Texas. Bundle and save with Progressive. Progressive.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachian Parkway. We're all going through our own fitness journey. We want to get the most out of our time in the gym or with a trainer. We want to eat the right things and do the right things to be in the best shape possible. Why not find out exactly where you're at in that journey by getting a DEXA scan today? It's the most accurate measurement of all body composition methods. It is the gold standard in what is used in clinical diagnosis, the only method that can determine bone density and give a direct measurement of visceral fat. You can do so and save a bunch of money. That's why I'm here, guys. Use Jeff25 as a discount code for 25% off any of the services at DexaFit. It's not just a DEXA scan. They have red light therapy that helps accelerate wound healing, pain relief, muscle recovery, improve circulation, skin health. They'll also give you tips on personalized nutrition with weight management, fitness optimization. These are all things that you want to do to help correct imbalances. Go see our friends at DexaFit and save right now. Use code Jeff25. Discount code Jeff25 for 25% off any services at DexaFit. Science-backed, technology tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Warchant TV on the YouTube there. And on Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. That wonderful weekend I described and the games, the roundup, and all that stuff from over the weekend. Come out the other side, and you realize that Army and Navy are ranked for the first time simultaneously since the Eisenhower administration. 1960, the last time this happened. By the way, both teams undefeated at this point in the season. Tommy? 1945. We just won World War II.
Whoa. 45.
Mm-hmm. So that is really, really cool.
Older than our dads.
Yeah, really cool. And they're both ranked simultaneously. How about that?
It's a potential doomsday scenario for the Invitational.
Yeah, well, they play each other at the end for the AAC.
Well, and top ranked group of 5 would still be a possibility.
Yeah.
But the first round of the playoff games is like just days away. And, they never thought that a service academy who has its own designated game weekend, the day the Heisman Trophy
Which
gets
is
handed out.
beautiful, I must admit.
It is. Well, that would be one to go to. Certainly would. Oh, my.
It'd be a tough ticket this time around if it wasn't already.
Yeah, 11-0 on each side for a chance to go to the Invitational. Holy cow.
Coach Cameron on College Football 25 has had a rough go of it with Army this year, Tom.
I got a transcript of a press conference of Coach Cameron.
Yeah. Special teams nightmare in a loss to Temple. And I snapped at the presser. 2 kick returns for touchdowns.
I got to get back into it. I am leading San Jose State out of the darkness into the light. And we had a big-time win over, I forget, might have been BYU.
That's a big win.
It's a big win for
BYU is actually undefeated in the real world, everybody.
Yeah. And the cloud didn't save it. And it said, trouble saving your EA profile and your EA dynasty to the cloud.
What?
We're sorry.
That ain't going to get it done.
No. And so I'm at halftime of the replay, and I'm down 17 points. And that's where it's been for months. Like,
you were so frustrated.
No, I was.
Oh, you rallied from 17 down to win.
No. I've left it. I left it at halftime because I played the same night.
Oh, and then they got up 17.
And there it has sat since August. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to stand for this snub. I'm just going to walk away for a little while.
1-5 at Army currently, Coach Cameron, year 1. I got it on the highest level, and we can't block. It's tough call. I feel like Florida State. It's tough calling plays when you can't block it up, Tommy. You can't. You're like, okay, well, we're not going to be able to run the ball, so we're going to have to throw, but they know that too. The AI on that game's pretty good. They're bringing the house. They're speeding you up. They are a little bit like Todd Bowles facing a rookie quarterback and in the second half adjustment saying, okay, so all you want to do is run a little play action, a little boot over and over again. We're going to take the boot away. Throw the ball from the pocket. See what you got. Oh, you suck, don't you? Get you some.
We'll put a boot in your ass.
It was ridiculous. I mean, we're going to boot here. We're going to boot there. We're going to go ahead and boot some more over here. No, okay, we're going to take the boot away. No more booting nothing.
I take it to boot.
Throw the ball from the pocket like a man and see what happens.
Well, what's frustrating in those games is, when you scheme something wide open and then your guy drops it. It's almost like there's a real life
toughie.
Equivalent of it all.
You think Mike runs the quarterback this weekend? It would be a step forward, embracing a quarterback's legs to help change the math. Florida State's got to find a spark. They got a little bit in the passing game and in the way of a spark with Brock last game. They got some more of a spark with the play of, Williams and Thomas. I think that, Hakeem being incorporated by Brock in this offense will give you a reason to get excited again. Because I think that kid may never be the 5-star you wanted him to be, but he can be a plus player for you at wide receiver if you get consistent play at quarterback. These are the things. These are the things. Let's see all of this and get a reason to be excited. Get into it. You might have a chance here. I think that Duke team is sound. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're all that athletic when you watch them play. That's a stereotype, true, but just watch them. And, Manny's really blitzed quite a bit more than he has in the past. So he's going to dial up pressure. It certainly helps to have a mobile quarterback. Imagine going into this game with DJ, who would be a sitting duck. That would be a nightmare. So at least you have a little something here to know you can get out of the way of those bullets.
I feel like the quote from last week is really important. I do. That Norvell was willing to get down to the base level and say that they needed to make changes. And if that means schematically, like for a coach to say that, if we need to do something schematically, then that's what we'll do. I thought it was going to be self-evident after the loss to Boston College.
When you were manhandled?
Yeah. I mean, I remember on the post-game show saying, man, well, here comes the Wildcat. Because when Mike is backed into a corner, what does he do? He goes non-traditional, and he finds a way. But what's different about this year than its predecessors are that when he was backed into a corner, he kept doing the same thing. And the signaling of the depth chart changes, the praise for Brock. Yeah, I fully expect the quarterback's legs are going to be a part of the equation. This is going to look like the offense from a few years ago, where if they have to get super creative, they're going to get super creative. It just, why wouldn't you? Especially if you're going to go on the record and say that philosophically things are changing. I'm not expecting to see the DJ offense. I'm just not.
No, it would be dumb, right? I mean, you were just slamming your head against the wall over and over and over again. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, and I'm here for it. I'm excited about it. I really think, again, it's relative. We keep saying that, but we go back to the schedule of the second half of the season. What can be gained? What kind of momentum can you generate after such a poor start? It doesn't do you any good to go back and relitigate 24-21, 28-13, 20-12, 14-9, 42-16, 29-13. Doesn't matter. You're 1-5. You're 1-4 in the conference. Those games have been played. It was a nightmare. Nobody would argue with that. You deserve the criticism that you've received locally and nationally. He's accepted that, understands that, called his own team embarrassing, called their efforts poor, talked about the need to change and be better. You're right. All of that, boom, got it. Compartmentalized it. It's over here. Second half, Duke, Miami, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Charleston, Southern Florida. What is your record in those games? I'll give you the loss against Miami in all likelihood and Notre Dame. As it stands here today, Florida's a better team than you are. Florida is better than you, and they are more physical than you. You have until the 30th to make that change, to give us a reason to believe that when Florida comes to town, that you have a little something for them. They're not even good, but they're better than you and more physical than you, and they have hope in DJ Lagway. Do we have hope when facing DJ Lagway by the time we play that game? That's what this is about. It would have to start with a road win, which, my God, would feel stunning at this point against Duke. You turn around, and can you be competitive? Can you look competent? Can you communicate defensively against a top flight quarterback in Miami? In that atmosphere, as it's going to be for that game, it's the one time a year Miami fans show up and show loud. It's going to be all of those things. How do you respond? North Carolina looks incompetent just like we do. I'm pretty sure Mac's at the end of his rope at this point. That'll be the end of him for this year at North Carolina. He'll retire, be forced out either way. You should win that game. It's a home game. At that point, if you've taken care of business this weekend, big game. If you take advantage of it this weekend, all of a sudden you're 2-1 on the back end. How do you play against Notre Dame? And then obviously you get the win against Charleston Southern. You have a chance to finish over 500 in the second half of the season with a rivalry game against Florida. It doesn't mean the program is saved. It does mean that you made changes within the season that were obviously necessitated by a disaster of the first half of the season. And then you're evaluating while trying to win games with the young players so that you know where to go in the portal and where to go in recruiting for this offseason. At the same time, obviously, we know staff changes have to be made. You can marry those two for part of the bigger discussion. It's not a case of – it is a case if you're a fan from out of town that you don't want to watch it and you don't want to be a part of it and your season has been ruined and you feel cheated and you are angry about that. Fair. I got it. I'm a Florida State graduate from Miami. I'm not coming up to watch this nonsense in all likelihood. It's a haul. It's difficult to do. Stadium's a mess. The whole situation's a mess. The team's a mess. So I get it. When I hear from those people that live in Orlando or Miami or St. Pete, and they've been obviously hit by hurricanes, they got a lot of other things to worry about. A lot of Florida State faithful have said, you know what? I'll check in next year. But that ain't going to be me. It's our job here to assess, to watch, to analyze, to talk about, discuss on a regular basis with all of you guys, even if you're just checking in for the day. All right, where's Florida State at now? I know what the record is. What are these guys talking about? I'm going to be serious about that. I know you are too, because I really want to see when change is afoot. It is always interesting. And there are going to be so many changes, both in personnel, by segment group, but also in philosophy, and then also the physical changes that he makes in terms of the staff and scheme. Going to be fascinating.
Yeah, I'm enthralled by this stuff. If I can take away the anger, that's the thing I feel, just like you do, is disappointment and anger that how it got to this low.
Well, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It shouldn't happen. It careened off the side of a mountain. It's unbelievable.
This is why, though, I still feel positive about how much it's fallen apart. Is that there must be change. There has to be. So what are you made of? Mike Norvell, I know what you were made of at 0-4 after the COVID year, which is I'm going to stick to my principles. I'm not going to back down from my principles and change my message. It's going to work. He was right. Now, you don't have to back down from your principles this time.
You still have to be the same guy in that regard.
But you have to back down from retaining all of your coaches year over year. You have to. It's not you're one of the worst teams in America. We always talk about the offense. We're one of the worst teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Offensive line's been around for years and years and years. They don't know how to do basic stuff. Defense looks scared of zone. They don't know where to be. They don't communicate well. It took a month for them to start to communicate better.
Yeah, we don't teach it well.
Inconsistent effort, especially when you're talking about perimeter blocks, inconsistent effort, no care for your teammates. That's pathetic. Special teams, not immune to that. The kicking game's wonderful. Other than that, you have ups and downs and inconsistencies for all the time they spend on it. So everywhere you go, every position group you look at, you don't say, well, I knew that we were going to be bad at linebacker in terms of communication because, it's a trade-off. We're recruiting so well at that position. No, it doesn't work like that because you're not recruiting well. So there's really no leg to stand on of what you're good at. So there has to be change. And what is he going to do? How does he face it? That is fascinating. And I hope he does it right.
Yeah, it's weird. When you go through, and this is not to highlight negatives. This is just a pragmatic discussion. This is being a realist about, so you brought up the offensive line. We brought up the rushing. Mike called it embarrassing himself. So use his words. Mike called it embarrassing. So it's not me pounding the desk. It's Mike Norvell telling you that it's embarrassing, humiliating. We talked about it. When you go through those game by game, snapshots that I just did when I rattled off the first half of the season and projected ahead to the second half of the season with the basically the schedule, and you see your leading rusher 38 yards, leading rusher 11 yards, 11, leading rusher 30, leading rusher Toafili 80. That was the Cal game. Leading rusher 67, leading rusher 16. You have games this year in which your leading rusher amassed 11 yards and 16 yards. You have games this year where your leading rusher in two separate occasions had fewer than 39 yards. What changes in the run game that will facilitate other aspects of your offense? I think it's Brock Glenn's legs. I think it's what's going to help facilitate some measure of a running game. It has to be. It has to be, because the traditional run game has been shown to be wildly ineffective, incomprehensibly bad. Whatever way you want to describe it, that's not like mean-spirited. It is what it is. Tired phrase, but it is. It just is. So what do you do? What do you do? Paul says, I want to know why, as far as the running game goes, can't we line up in power I personnel? Split backs with two tight ends. Everyone block who's in front of them and run the ball. Simple. Yeah, hat on a hat. We've talked about hat on a hat.
They've had success doing that.
They've had some success doing it. It's not overwhelming, but by way of comparison to the other outside zone, counter. Oh, oof. Yeah.
That's the other thing. Of course, it's embarrassing. Your number one play, your bread and butter, your signature, you cannot execute.
one of the problems you have too, say you wanted to do something different and just go single back and 13 personnel, have 3 tight ends on the field. Well, you don't have 3 tight ends that can block. So you're not in a position to be able to do that. You've got maybe one. And
who wants to block on this roster?
Yeah. So
name me 3 dudes who are good at blocking on this roster.
But you do. I get where he's coming from. Yeah, and Brett's answer to that question is right. You could tighten your splits. You can go heavy, and by hook or crook, muscle your way to 3.5 yards on a run. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. You would shorten the game, run clock, bludgeon, try to use your mass that you do have size, try to get to 2nd and 7, 3rd and 3, and see what you can do from there. I know, man. It's not what you want to do. I get you want to run some sort of spread or some element of it, but I agree with you. Tony says, let's say, and he is smoking it today, and I like that about you, Tony. Hang in there. Let's say Mike goes 6-0 remaining games. Hypothetical. Does that give him the right to not make changes? Yes, I know 1% is. I know 6-0 is less than 1% chance. Well, Mike could. I just got done saying last hour that coaches live in a bubble. They believe in themselves in a way that is irrational. Many, not all, and I don't think Mike does. Many have a savior complex. I've been around enough coaches that believe they can change anybody, change everybody. Players that have proven to be bad repeatedly, they think they can bring under their tutelage and change it. That's a long-winded way of me saying that Mike could just say, no, I'm not making changes, fire me. What are you going to do? You're not firing Mike after the end of this year. Like, if he wanted to, I mean, what do you think? Alfred's going to go in and say, I want to make changes here, 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 and you need to do that? And what if he says, no, I'm not going to? Mike says, you're fired? No, he's not going to do it. He wouldn't. Now, that's the worst case scenario, and that's not a working relationship, and that's an awful way of viewing it, but I don't think
it depends on what's in Norvell's contract about what purview he has to hire and fire the staff.
Well, we know who his agent is. I'm imagining that all the eggs are in his basket. And we also know how powerful all these coaches are. They forever refuse to make changes that people want or that administrators want. I would think, now, I believe that is irrelevant because Mike wants to win, and Mike cares about winning, and Mike knows that this is unacceptable, and Mike is a good guy who's worked very hard and is in the midst of having a disastrous season, and he's going to want to rectify that, and to rectify that almost certainly means making certain changes, and his willingness to openly discuss changes with scheme and changes in the depth chart and who plays and personnel suggests that he's open to those kinds of changes as well, meaning staff. I don't think that he's the kind of guy who's so cemented in his ways at such a young age that he couldn't see the forest for the trees here. That's what you get when you have a Bob Knight or a 68-year-old coach who's won a bunch and then gets told by an administration, hey, I want you to make some changes. Pound sand. I'm Bob Knight. I'm whomever, right? They'll tell you no. But Mike is young in his coaching career still. He knows this is his best opportunity to run the ship of a major university, of a big-time program that has real cachet and real history. It is in his best interest. It would behoove him to get this turned around quickly so that any longevity he has in the sport and whatever his goals are, and I know for a fact that they are to win a championship, to win a national championship, can be accomplished. You don't suddenly just say, hey, I have a lot of money. Newsflash, Mike Norvell was, and I'm not saying you guys are implying this, but Mike Norvell was wealthy by almost any standard prior to this recent raise. It's not the money. Yes, it means something. Usually the money represents something even more than the dollars in the bank account. But Mike wants to win. All these guys are incredibly competitive. Jimbo Fisher just got fired from Texas A&M. He's got more money than he could ever spend, his kids could ever spend, and their kids and their kids and their kids could ever spend, and he wants to work again. He wants to be a head coach again. He wants to right the wrongs of what happened at Florida State and Texas A&M. Whether he could or not is up for somebody else to decide if he ever gets another job. I don't know that he will, other than working currently on SiriusXM. We'll see. But chances are because he's a national championship winning coach, he'll get another job. Just wait for West Virginia to fail, and he may get that job. We'll see. Point is, these guys are doing it for more than the money. And I don't think that it's sort of a kiss my ass on Main Street moment for him where he could say no, which would expedite his firing eventually. And then he'd say, fine, I'm rich. I don't think he views it that way. I think he views it as, I've screwed this up. I'm desperate to make the changes that will allow for us to get back to where we need to be. I hate that this has happened. And I think he legitimately has. I think Mike hates that this has happened, not just because it reflects poorly. People will talk about how it reflects poorly on a coach. Obviously, their record, people say you are what your record is, but they are also people. Mike is a human being who wants to win, who takes pride in his job performance, takes pride in what he was building. And to see that be derailed to this extent has to be a shock to the system. But it doesn't mean that, I'm going to sit back paralyzed for fear that that any of these changes I'm about to make, reflects poorly on me. No, I think Mike will say the record reflects poorly on me. The games reflect poorly on me in the same way that winning those games wasn't the end of the line for me. It reflected great. My work ethic, my staff, my kids, it all looked great. Today, it doesn't look great. Either way, I'm coming to work tomorrow morning, 4 a.m., first on the treadmill, trying to get things turned around, whether it's in good times or in bad. I just think that that's who he is. It's one of the reasons I'm really rooting for him. I don't defend every coach in this way, and I'm not necessarily defending him. It's not my job to do that. If he gets the job done, then great. If he doesn't, we'll talk about how he needs to be fired at some point. I'm not saying that now, but you gotta. I think when we assess the people that have run this program, and you get a real sense over time, Mike is one of the more likable people I've ever had to interact with on this professional level. Like just interacting with in terms of talking about his background and what the kids and the program, and I believe that's genuine.
Well, a lot of likable guys suck at their jobs. Now he hasn't though until this year. That's the difference with him. There's a lot of likable guys. They're treated kindly as they fall. They're given, a mattress to land on rather than concrete because I hated for him. He is a super nice guy. Usually coordinators that happens with more than head coaches.
Yes.
Hey, that guy's the salt of the earth. I'm sorry that it didn't work out for him, but we need to move on. But usually those guys don't have success to begin with. It's not. Mike just won 19 in a row.
Well, that's the other part of it. That's why it's a weird conversation.
Yeah, because actually this is something I talked about last week. The fans have a right to ask the question, do you know what you're looking at? And that's a ridiculous question because, of course, he knows what he's looking at. He knows the game. And yet this season's calculations were so off based upon how you construct your roster, make your decision, spend your money. I mean, that's it now, too, how you spend your money.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man. Do you know what you're looking at? And I think that's where you're seeing the metamorphosis now with him is rhetoric-wise, he is acknowledging how poor this is. And it's not somebody else's mess that he walked into and he's trying to cultivate an answer from.
Yeah.
I made this mess. This is worse.
Well, I do know this, and I say it a lot, and it took a long time to arrive at this place. When I was in my 20s, I don't think I would have come to this conclusion. Probably somewhere late in my 30s, I did, and I began to talk about it on the air early days with you. I know it takes an awful lot of hard work and an awful lot of good luck for things to go to the level of where it did under Jimbo to win a national championship or Bobby to win 2 national championships or any program to get to a place where they are the best in the country. Where Georgia has been, where Alabama was for an exceedingly long time, where Ohio State has been, and where Florida State has been. Takes an ungodly amount of work and also some good fortune, right? You need to have a lot of things go right. Like if you have a year where your team is loaded enough to win a national title, but you play a bunch of road games that are difficult and you have some injuries, poof, it's gone. Things like that happen. But it doesn't take nearly as much to go wrong for a great coach to be made to look bad. It doesn't take nearly as much of a downturn for things to kind of slide and snowball on you. See it all the time. We see good coaches get fired all the time. Some of them are lucky enough to get a second chance somewhere, and they prove it again. They go somewhere else, and they get a fresh start, and they implement whatever it was, the modus operandi that got them to that place where they were well thought of. They learn from whatever it was that allowed for the downfall, and they implement the changes. Bill Belichick is a great example of that. Nick Saban is a great example of that. Some of the best coaches of all time have had seasons where people would go, what you doing over here? What's going on over here, Bill? What's going on over here, Nick? And some had the reputation or the good fortune or were young enough at the time that it happened to get a second chance and learn from it and implement. Mike is young enough. I don't know that to the degree that this is a disaster that Mike would find another big-time job right away. He'd have to go somewhere small and build it back up and then maybe get a second chance years later. But he's young enough where maybe that would happen.
Or he could just fix this.
And the bottom line is, again, I do think that there are a lot of good coaches who somehow overlooked an aspect or an element of their program, and it bit them in the ass, and they ended up losing their job. Mike has got a chance to turn this around. What we talk about when we talk about big picture stuff is, can you? And again, I don't know the answer to that. I know he's a hard worker. I know he cares deeply. I know he's won. I know he's done all those things. We shall see. We'll document it along the way. Ira Schoffel, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
I'm Robert, and I'm a general pest technician at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I have a fantastic job working for an amazing company. Every day, I take great satisfaction in knowing the work I do helps protect the health of the customers I'm honored to serve, and their pets too. Many are now my friends. Paul's is a local North Florida-based company, and they are constantly teaching all of us techs about the ever-changing needs of our unique part of the world.
I'm Jay, and having the privilege to work with people like Robert and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We're North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Holidays are coming. Better shower up with a beautiful custom shower enclosure from Widden Glass. Widden Glass will take care of you to your complete satisfaction. They've designed and installed bath and shower enclosures for Tallahassee homeowners for almost 70 years. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Widden's top-of-the-line bath and shower enclosures provide style and luxury at an affordable price. With the holidays coming, that means family, and that means now is the time to shower up with style. Call Widden Glass today, 222-5781, or chat online with one of their service professionals at widdenglass.com. WHIDDON. Widden, the first name in glass since 1945. Call 222-5781.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Sellers, are you stuck between wanting to sell your home and waiting for rates to fall? Are you worried about the contingency of having to sell your home? What if you didn't have to? With a 2-1 rate buy down, you can lock in a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of your mortgage and get the home you want now, all while having a higher chance to buy that next home with the contingency of selling yours. If you wait for rates to fall, you risk more competition, sellers less likely to wait, and paying more for that next property. If you're stuck, we need to talk. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's 954-369-6171. And don't forget, for every loan we close for our fellow Knowles, I will personally donate $250 to the Battle's End.
Equal housing rent, NMLS number 373031.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
A lot about that youth movement. We talk about what that represents, what that'll look like, all of those things. Ira wrote about it as well on warchant.com. If you go read the article, FSU continues to focus on youth movement entering second half of the season. You'll know of which I speak, of course. And we're going to talk to him as we're wont to do on a Monday. Ira Schoffel joins us now on the Jeff Cameron Show. Hello, Ira.
How's it going, Jeff?
It's good, buddy. Let's look at it. I'm excited about that aspect of the second half of the season, whether it be B.J. Gibson, Elijah Moore, LaWayne McCoy, Micah Danzy, Brock Glenn, obviously, to some extent, however we see Luke Kromenhoek when he comes in, if he does. Any number of the other guys, obviously Williams and Landon Thomas and those guys. Mike said that, look, you've got to go earn it. We're not just going to put guys in the game to put them in the games just because you like them. He's also kind of changed practice a little bit during the bye week to give those guys a greater look. Give me your overall vision of how you see this plays out starting this Friday night against Duke.
Yeah, I mean, and it's even extending to the line of scrimmage now. It looks like last week they started Andre Otto at guard.
Mm-hmm.
Game gave him his first career start, a redshirt freshman at guard, and this week he's penciled in to start again, even though he didn't look great. They're penciled in to start again, and then they're moving Jalen Early to guard, and he's penciled in to start this week as well. So now you'll have one guy making his second career start at guard and one guy making his first career start at guard against the Duke defense that brings a lot of pressure. So it's gonna be interesting. But man, I think it's what he has to do. It's obviously what all the fans want. I think it's what the media has been calling for also. But there's going to be challenges, and I think this game. I'm actually posting a story right as soon as we get done with this interview, but that is going to be a challenge. Duke brings a ton of pressure. They've got 10 or 12 guys that have a lot of tackles for loss this season. They are going to give up big plays, but they're going to bring pressure. And you have basically two very green guards. You got a redshirt freshman quarterback and a true freshman when Cam Davis is in at tailback. There probably will be some breakdowns, but I think it's what they have to do. You just couldn't keep rolling out the same guys all season.
I agree, and I will say the best part of having to go that route with the young guys is the 2 weeks to prepare for said pressure.
Right.
And I would think, and I don't know if he's been asked about it, and it's a strategic question, so I don't know if he'd even answer it. But I would think this is the week we finally see the legs of the quarterback incorporated intentionally to the game plan.
I mean, you'd hope so. I thought we would last week, and maybe it was a decision with Clemson to maybe just But now, listen, man, we're having to kind of keep telling ourselves it's coming in all these different scenarios. Last year, Jordan Travis didn't run.
Right.
He was Jordan Travis. Then DJ Uyunglele comes and he doesn't run, and obviously he's not as dynamic a runner, at least in his current physical state. Then everybody wants to see Brock Glenn because at least he can bring that to the table. And then he didn't run him against Clemson. So now maybe that was just because it was Clemson and, maybe you didn't want to take too many chances. But, yeah, you would like to believe it's coming. But, I mean, at some point it's either going to happen or it's not.
Well, and I just feel like he's admitted that he's willing to be open to any number of things. It's not just personnel. He actually alluded to scheme at one point when being asked about all this. So I would think that is part of that larger discussion, especially if you're going to be playing such young personnel at guard. Like, you're going to have to get that kid, for lack of a better term, off platform in the passing game, but also change the math in the running game.
Yeah, and I think that's that's where this team needs to go. And listen, I think if you look at when Florida State's offensive line has been more successful the last 5 years, it's been when the quarterback was using his legs. Even when Jordan was a quarterback and they weren't running him, the running game wasn't great, and the pass protection wasn't always great.
That's right.
At least if you get these guys moving, maybe that's what Alex Atkins teaches better. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's definitely something we need to see. Brock is a willing runner. He's not just an athletic kid; he's a tough kid. And I think Luke Cromenhawk, if he gets opportunities, he's another guy that can really run for his size. So I'd like to see it for sure. And hey, listen, man, one day maybe we'll see some just different looks from the offense, just doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, I that is the great hope from all the fans going into this game. What's at stake the second half of the season, if anything?
I think a lot. I think from from Mike Norvell's standpoint, when it comes to support from the fan base, support from people around the program, confidence in the program, they need to have something start going right. Because, again, players are just like fans and everybody else in terms of, if they're not having success, they'll start to question things. And so the longer that goes on, the harder it is to turn it around. I just think once you get negative momentum going as a program, the longer that goes on, I think the harder it is to kind of turn it back the other way. So I think it's big for him. And then this coaching staff, everybody on that staff pretty much has to feel like they're coaching for their jobs. And then, as far as these players go, we could debate whether or not Mike Norvell should go heavy in the portal this offseason, but there's some key positions that, if the quarterback play doesn't look good in the second half of the season, you might have to consider that. Certainly the line of scrimmage. And then there's several players in this team that I think wanted to go to the NFL, and they're going to have strong second half. So, the season overall is lost in terms of the goals, but I think there's tons of motivations for a bunch of individual people throughout the program.
Do you get a sense when you're at practice that Mike is, I don't know about changing. I don't mean changing as a person, because he's not going to do that, and I don't think he needs to change as a person. His modus operandi has never been something that we take umbrage with. He's a hard worker and all of those things. But has he changed demeanor in the sense of the way that he talks to this team, talks to these guys, seeks these changes?
I think his fuse is getting shorter with some people. And I think part of it's because, you're midway through the season now. Early in the year, you've got new players. You're bringing in either, young players or transfers that are first year in the system. And I think they felt like, it seemed to me like the way he was patient with DJ at quarterback and the way he was patient with some of the offensive linemen, like he just thought it was going to kind of get better. Maybe, they got out the gate slowly, but it would get better. And then when it really didn't get better, I think, you're seeing this change where you're putting a lot of guys on the bench who have been starters in the past. You're making a lot of new guys starters. And then I just think watching him interact with the staff, watching him interact with the players, I'm sure his fuse is much shorter than it was because, this is all a reflection on him. And we can, I think we like to talk about how much money coaches make, and we say, oh, well, at the end of the day, the guy's still making $10 million a year. How bad is it? Mike Norvell doesn't want this to be the end of his coaching career. So I think he's taking it very seriously, and I think he's, upping the ante. He's always been a demanding guy at practice. We've all been out there and seen that. But I think he is, kicked it up. I think he's kicking it up probably every practice or every week just because, he has to.
Just an opinion question. Do you think they look better on Friday night?
I don't know. I would think so, just because I don't think Duke is as good as their record looks. Corey wrote a piece that was on the website today that, Duke really hasn't played very good competition. And so their 5-1 record looks great, but it was against not great competition. And a lot of the wins were basically one possession games that could have gone either way. So I don't think this is a very good Duke team, but this is not a good Florida State team. So I do think, and if you've got a lot of youth in the middle of your offense, guys handling the ball and especially on the road, this will, be Brock's first start away from home. I guess it really is truly his first road start. Not that Duke is any great road environment, but he's had neutral sites before that and then a home game. So, I think there's some things that can go sideways on you. I'd like to think they're going to play better. I don't think they've laid down, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence that it's going to look great.
To Ira's point, they beat Elon. They beat Northwestern 26-20 late. They beat UConn 26-21. They beat Middle Tennessee State like a drum, Ira. Don't you overlook that 45-17 ass kicking they laid on MTSU.
They did.
They got the 1-point win after being down 20-0 to North Carolina. They came back and helped cement the end of Mac Brown's time at North Carolina, 21-20. And they lost this last game to Georgia Tech, 24-14. Brother, I always appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Be well.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Yeah, take care. That's Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com. Monday Smash tonight at 7.
No Smash this week, but we do have an on-demand video coming in the next day.
Makes sense. It was a bye week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we'll have a video brought to you by our friend Russ Fortes, who is not happy right now.
Oh, Russ is angry like many others. I'm angry. You're angry. Most Florida State fans are angry. Frustrated. I think anger has turned to bitter disappointment and frustration. In the moment when you're watching it, it's anger.
Yeah, for me, the anger is it's on a preheat setting, like because I watch it and I'm just looking for the why when it happens during the game, like why?
Yeah, but it's predictable. You know what's going to happen.
Sure. Well, if it's 3rd and 12, I know that.
First down.
Yeah.
3rd and Fuller. Here we go.
Well, that side of the in a weird way, that side of the ball leaves me with less hope. And yet it has more consistent performance.
Yeah, but it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, if it's 3rd and 12, you're saying, please don't break out of zone. Let's run man pressure.
Yeah. There'll be a miscommunication.
Right.
Tight end will get open.
Right.
Back out of the backfield. First down.
We better get home immediately. Like Farmer better whoop somebody's butt this play and cause an immediate pressure to bring the quarterback's eyes down.
Yeah.
If he does that, then we're going to get off the field. Probably.
Got a shot. Yeah. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give cornbread hemp a try.
What?
Yeah. The hemp people called. I said, I'm in. They've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that's 100% legal. I said, I'm doubly in. Let's go. Throw it my way. As a special offer to the Jeff Cameron Show listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Visit cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use promo code warchant at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/warchant and use the code warchant for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour.
Wow.
Or Random Tuesday. However it is you get down. How about that, Tom?
How about that?
How about the
cornbread, like the food, cornbread.
Yeah, cornbread. Cornbreadhemp.com called. I said, don't mind if I
Are they cornbread gummies?
No. Okay. No. They're just your classic THC gummies. They have CBD gummies too. I've not scoured the website, but I have tried the product. They said, we'd like to advertise with you. I said, well, I need some free hemp. And let me see if I enjoy it or not. And then we'll talk about it. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A man is now facing several charges in connection to a deadly hit-and-run incident that took place in Thomasville on Saturday. A state trooper was called to the scene of a fatal hit-and-run on Old Albany Road at Cannon Road. After an initial investigation, a vehicle was found to have struck Ashvin Kumar Patel from behind as he was walking on the west shoulder of Old Albany Road. The driver left the scene after striking Patel. GSP says they used surveillance cameras to identify the driver as Louis Lozano. While being questioned, Lozano claimed he had thought he either hit a dog or a mailbox. GSP says they found Lozano was not driving under the influence during questioning. The Taylor County Health Department is reminding people the boil water notice issued on September 30th for residents in the Taylor Coastal Water and Sewer District is still in effect. Members in the advisory should bring water to a rolling boil and allow it to cool before drinking or cooking until further notice. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs level off around 88 this afternoon. Under clear skies, west winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows around 59. Highs level off around 81 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Clear skies and dry Wednesday and Thursday with highs in the upper 60s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 85 degrees.
This is Hugh Tomlinson, president of the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. I invite you to join our historic club supporting local football since 1949. Don't miss our exciting events featuring legendary and popular football personalities. Get updates from FSU coaches, win great door prizes, and stay on top of all local football. Attend our next event featuring sports analyst and former UGA star David Pollock on October 29th. Get your tickets or join our club at TallahasseeQBClub.com. That's TallahasseeQBClub.com. Get in the game, get in the club.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. You two at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Jeff.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
David, don't you worry. Manscaped makes its triumphant return on the show this week. So I'll make sure just for you, David, to emphasize all of the Manscaped reads for this week.
Only Manscaped before the cornbread hemp, not after the cornbread.
Melissa said, the weed folks saw our record and pounced. I'm here for it. Oof. Yeah, the weed folks said we should get some weed down to Tallahassee in a hurry. These poor people have been through a lot. Warchant should set up the concussion. That's the game of football. Concession zone of doke and resell the gummies. We could make a pretty penny.
Well, what was it? Was it special popcorn?
Oh,
what did we have?
We had heroin at the bottom of the box of popcorn.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's what I was suggesting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We had
we don't have any.
We don't. Heroin.
There's nothing in the concession
What
stands.
crazy athletic department would okay heroin?
I promise you, no. People just
in the popcorn. What? What are you asking me?
We've conducted a survey. Florida State's sales of popcorn relative to all other power schools is 400% higher. Well, it must be the salt. It's very salty.
It's like the movie salt. Have you ever had that fake salt? You know, that's not even real salt. That's what we use. Now, shh, don't tell anybody. But that's what Jimbo, what are you doing here, Coach?
Remember the old GM that we had that took more pride in the popcorn machine than anything else?
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
He took more pride.
He set that sucker up.
Hey, you guys want some
Have
popcorn?
You guys gone down to the kitchen area? We've got some popcorn in there right now. It's, oh, man, you should try it. It's good. Well, it's popcorn, so you know. That's all. Popcorn is high on the list of how good could it be. It's popcorn.
Well, it's always good, though.
Popcorn's never bad. It's just, it's popcorn. It's like when somebody gives you a peanut. All right, thanks for the peanut.
She put it in your Diet Coke.
Yep, I like it. Huh? I'm saying, though, you have a peanut, you're not like, God, dog, that peanut was amazing.
Okay, so there are certain situations, movie popcorn, specifically the major brand, the major theater.
Yeah, but it's never great. You leave after you've eaten the popcorn feeling worse than you did when you went in.
Not from there. But the other places, I would agree. The major chain makes some good popcorn. Popcorn power rankings. This is a real thing. Walt Disney World popcorn, tremendous. You know who used to have excellent popcorn was Target. You used to smell popcorn right when you walked into the Target.
You have a thing for popcorn more than I do. But Tom, it's relative. Popcorn it can never reach, like, it's not like eating a steak. It's popcorn. You're like, okay.
It is delicious.
Oh,
it's not a steak.
2 handfuls of popcorn. You're like, okay, I'm good.
No.
I don't know how you do it. See, this is where we have.
This is why I don't buy it for the house, though.
Fork in the road here, partner.
This is why I don't have it in the house, though, because microwave popcorn, you take that, you get rid of it.
You know what's nonsense?
The Publix deli popcorn is also dangerous. You get a bag of that, it's going to be gone soon.
I don't know. I don't even know if I've ever had it.
You never had the Publix deli popcorn?
Doesn't call me. It doesn't call me in any way. Popcorn's just like, whatever. It's freaking popcorn. Again, it's like a peanut. I'll have some peanuts, but peanuts, great. I
wonder if they sell popcorn at the amphitheater this weekend. I'll just get a bunch of popcorn.
Oh, that's right. You and I are going to see JJ Gray. That's going to be good.
That's right,
yeah. That's either going to be a celebratory moment for us on a Saturday night to relax and enjoy a good concert after the Noles get a big road win against Duke and keep the streak of undefeated games against Duke alive, or it's going to be one where we just drown our sorrows and try to enjoy the great night of music.
Well, the one thing is, you got Georgia, Texas, too. Going to be changed, every time he ends a song, I'll be like, what's the score?
Well, we have phones.
Yeah.
And they work. And
they'll work better than at Doak.
They will be, everything works better than it does at Doak.
Except the popcorn. Delightful.
At the Lang Memorial, you'd be like, now, I don't care if the food is average, everybody, but the popcorn cannot be caught lacking.
I do break out the accent to disguise myself when I get in there.
Guys, this popcorn can't be half-stepping.
I'm in row 4, seat 7.
No pussyfooting on the popcorn, everybody. Got to be salty and tasty. Hour 3, let's go.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
There's no
Pinch a Penny Pools has the largest selection of premium hot springs hot tubs in the city. You might even call it Tallahassee's hot tub hub. 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, with over 50 of them on site. Over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But I digress. So why should you own a hot tub from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1. Health benefits, of course. The healing powers of soaking in a hot bubbling pool of water go back centuries. Google it. Number 2, Pinch a Penny has hot tubs with technology called Freshwater IQ. It gives you real-time chemical readings and tells you exactly what to add to keep the water at peak perfection, with automated analysis to help you control the chlorine and pH. It's hot tubs for dummies. Sign me up. Number 3, they have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Bar Construction.com. We've gone through all peaks. We've been to those darn leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Bar Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Bar Construction.com.
CCC 1331204.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
WVFT Greater Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3, brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
Baker Mayfield with 4 touchdown passes. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat New Orleans at the Superdome 51-27. That win moves them to 4-2, tied for first in the NFC South with the Atlanta Falcons. 2 of those touchdowns went to Chris Godwin. Sean Tucker at 136 yards rushing and a touchdown. Also had a receiving score. Jacksonville losing in London to the Chicago Bears 35-16. They dropped to 1-5. Trevor Lawrence, 234 yards passing at 2 touchdowns, both of them to Gabe Davis, but Chicago got 4 touchdown passes from rookie Caleb Williams. Major League Baseball postseason continuing today. The Dodgers hosting the Mets in Game 2 of the NLCS. LA taking the first game 9-0 on Sunday. Tonight, Game 1 in New York between the Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians in the American League. This sports update brought to you by Flomar's Pawn, Guns, and Gold. More than you might expect. I'm Tony DeZeri, Real Talk 93.3.
Members, it's here. Milo's Rewards Week deals for members only are up for grabs. Get up to 40% off store-wide on hundreds of items, including select bath products. Plus, save $10 on 1-gallon cans and $50 on 5-gallon pails of Valspar Signature paint. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today and get instant access to hundreds of Milo's Rewards Week deals. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offer valid 10/10 through 10/16. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Barman, you look so twisted. What did you do now?
Well, Hank the alligator needed his teeth brushed, and when I bent over to give him a scrub, my back popped like an afternoon lightning storm in Florida. And now I can't even stand up.
You need to go to benchiro.com and schedule your new patient appointment right away at benchiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
I'm really busy. I don't want to leave Hank in the orange grove unattended for too long.
Finn Chiropractic will get you in right away, and they get to the cause of your problems. So go to finchiro.com and make your new patient appointment. There is even an online discount.
Discount? That's a good thing because my purse is a little light since I bought Hank a new gold chain.
You have to take care of yourself if you want to be able to take care of your alligator, Hank. Make your appointment now. Go to finchiro.com.
When I'm out on the golf course, I expect to hit good shots with my irons, but my set is over 10 years old, so it's time for an upgrade. When I heard how the new PXG Black Ops irons can dramatically improve my game, I had to give them a try. I booked a fitting at a PXG location. I brought my current irons, and I took the PXG Irons Challenge. In fact, I went out to Southwood Golf Club just a few weeks ago to see my man Ian Steele. This guy is a club fitter, knows his stuff. He was on the professional circuit. He's coached in college. He's seen all kinds of swings, high handicappers, low handicappers, plus handicappers. He knows his stuff, and I was thrilled with how thorough he was with the fitting experience. I was hitting 7 irons mostly all day, a couple of long irons, but he really dialed me in and got my numbers right, and now I will be playing with a set that's 2 degrees upright from PXG. New PXG Black Ops irons are game improvement missile launchers that feature X-Core 2 technology and dual cavity design that combines with their high strength, ultra thin steel club face to deliver superior forgiveness, absolutely explosive distance, and a feel that's softer than a baby bunny. New Black Ops irons are incredibly easy to hit and maximize performance and fun, and they're only $149.99 a stick. That's a great price for a great golf iron. Take the PXG Irons Challenge yourself. Go see Ian Steele. He rocks. It's a ton of fun, and if PXG's new Black Ops irons don't outperform your current irons by delivering either more distance or tighter dispersion, which means better accuracy, during that fitting, you'll get a $100 MasterCard rewards card. Hurry, this offer ends October 7th. Book your fitting today at pxg.com. That's pxg.com.
The Florida National Guard, aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2,
1.
From some of you, and then of course we've done a lot of reaching out to the people in that area. If you're listening to the pod and you still don't have power, say Sarasota, Bradenton, Tampa, St. Pete areas, I know how many of you have been affected greatly. Man, my heart continues to go out to all of you. My family too has been affected greatly by the storms, but and I won't linger in this realm because you come here to escape all that nightmarish stuff. But I know a lot of you are going through it, and the destruction and the loss of power and all those things, very, very real. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Escape with us for a few hours, and I wish you nothing but the best. Hang in there. Hang tough. Sucks, man. Just sucks. I've heard horror stories. Everybody, listen, we've all got. A lot of us have friends and family down there have been affected greatly, so it's awful. Breaks my heart. Pisses me off.
And you just brace yourself every year now for a big one, and just, to the folks down there, a lot of my friends, where I grew up, it's where you grew up. I hope you watched and enjoyed that 51-point ass kicking yesterday from the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I hope that provided you a little bit of joy because that was worth smiling about.
The little 51 for that ass for the Saints. Get you some of that.
Basically, it was 3 quarters of football that we played because that second quarter was something out of a horror movie.
It was a weird game, man. It was just I was sitting there laughing. I bet you expected a text from me, but I didn't. I stayed very calm. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Well, it just it felt
Punt
like
return, interception return off of a deflection.
Yeah. It felt like it was going to be a race to 40, and I still felt like we were going to get there. It had a college football feel to it. There are many college football games, the ones we play of late because our offense is awful, that feel like pro games, where 10 yards of field position matters greatly. Or, hey, man, we return that punt to the 40, not the plus 40, but the 40. Now we got to hold and we're back at the 17. We were going to maybe get points. Now we're definitely not getting any points. Like, our games have that arduous old school NFL feel to it. Yesterday's Bucs Saints game felt like a Big 12 special.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. By the way, I saw D asked a question during the break why the line was what it was. I think the Bills have a bunch of injuries, and B, this is kind of the Jets season. They're 2-3. If they lose this game at home tonight to fall to 2-4, it's a division game. I would guess that, fresh off a fire in your coach, Aaron is hurt. This was supposed to be the year that it turned around for them I think it's pretty much the Bills calling it a day with a win here. I know it's awfully early. And as we saw yesterday, injuries can really mount and change the outlook of your season. Speaking of which, yesterday, Tom, that made me sad that in the midst of Detroit absolutely brutalizing Dallas, Aiden Hutchinson gone for the year in a brutal compound fracture. By the way, can you imagine you fracture your tibia and break your fibula? Oh,
that's, yeah.
Oh, it's horrific. And now, honestly, like, not to go, too sour here, but if you're a Lions fan, I mean, you're eyeing the Super Bowl this year, and that guy is the single biggest difference maker on your team. I love their 2 running backs, and, that's great. Montgomery Williams, but come on, man, that is a brutal loss. He led the NFL in sacks after a bye week. He still did. Now, half those came against the Bucs, but still, I mean, it's like, and we were sitting together for that display of dominance. I'm like, well, there's his 5th sack, Tom. Jesus.
I think that was ripped from the audio tapes of The Establishment.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's probably why the Jets have to play as desperate as a team can play tonight. By the way, so I mentioned this This third hour, we get loosey-goosey every time. And we get more into the other sports. Baseball for Tom in an hour. Your Mets got to bounce back after that beatdown yesterday. Let's make this 1-1, Sean Mania.
If you do, then, I mean,
yeah, things are good. Things are good. That's
Nobody
all.
cares about game one.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
this, it's another example of my team playing a team that has more talent top to bottom. The Phillies did too, but it's baseball, so it can get a little wacky.
It definitely can. So my 6-bet parlay yesterday that hit was this. Bucks to win, Eagles to win, Texans to win, Lions to win, Falcons to win, Bengals to win. Hit. Good to go. Cashed. I had earlier in the week a 2-bet parlay, took the Bucks -3.5 and the Lions -3. Cashed. I had over 52 Lions Cowboys. Easily cashed. I had over 36.5 Steelers Raiders. Easily cashed. Steelers scored in the 30s. Again, the overs right now until Vegas adjusts are hitting left and right. I had over 35.5 Chargers Broncos. Cashed. Had over 47 Falcons Panthers. Cashed. I had over 40.5 DeAndre Hopkins receiving yards. You know how I won that bet? He had 38 for the game. Will Levis threw for, yet again, under 100 yards because he sucks and they should stop playing him. Anyhow, my man had 38 yards receiving, did DeAndre Hopkins, in the first half. The over was 40.5. With 40 seconds to go in the game, he was at 38 yards receiving. They threw him a pass for the last reception of the game, and he got over 40.5. Ended up with 54. It was a significant completion.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah. Anyhow, that cashed. I had over 51.5 Commanders Ravens. That was like one of the easiest wagers to win with those two quarterbacks. I had a 3-bet parlay that cashed with those over combos, Bucks Saints, Texans Patriots, and the 3-bet parlay was over 1.5 Derrick Henry touchdowns, over 54.5 yards receiving Zay Flowers, over 224.5 yards passing Jaden Daniels parlay. Cash, kitty, cash. That was a big one. It's a beautiful bet, by the way, by yours truly. I had over 38. What was that? Oh, Texans Patriots. This was an unbelievable day. Just going on and on and on. I even had over 44 Jags and Bears. So I just went boom, 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 boom on the overs. I did have LSU to win outright. I had Cincinnati to beat UCF because I always bet against UCF's terrible coach and Gus Malzahn. It's an easy win every week. Took Florida to beat UCF. Took Cincinnati to beat UCF. I took Colorado to beat UCF. Over and over. Just bet against UCF. He's garbage. They're garbage. Forget about it. Easy. Bet. You know the bet I lost? Illinois is up by 27 in the second half against Purdue.
I figured that would come up.
By the way, Illinois won the game. But Illinois is up by 27 in the second half against Purdue. And that game ends up being 50-49. Bad beat. And I lost my lad McConkey bet over 40. He had 38, or maybe it was over 48, and he had 45, something like that. But that's it. That's the kind of weekend we had around here, King.
Yeah.
A lot of green.
There was a lot of green in my world as well. And one of them, Tennessee really tried to screw up because I had a 3-leg parlay.
Will Levis's ass.
Nope. The Vols.
Oh, sorry.
Glad you worked that in.
Yes, he's ass.
Well, Nico played like ass this weekend.
He did.
God, and Lewis Riddick is still apologizing for every incompletion.
I don't get that. I like Lewis. I don't understand that.
I mean, look at the arm strength here. He's really close to hitting on one of these.
Well, Lewis is positive most of the time anyhow, but got excessive.
Yeah, he's really close to hitting on the 5th one of the night that he's missed, and they're losing because he's missing. Lewis.
Florida blew an opportunity, Tom.
They did.
I mean, I'm telling you, I really think if you're Billy Napier, you cost yourself more than a ball game.
I did not blow the opportunity because I didn't lay the 14. I just picked Tennessee to win. So that's a 14-point teaser in a sense. I played them on the money line with LSU to win, which was a squeaker.
I took LSU as well.
And the Vandy plus 12, which was easy. Look, man, if Mark Stoops is a double-digit dog, play him all day. If he's a double-digit favorite, my man, Take the points
It is
on the other side.
Well, it is a very weird time for the SEC right now, because normally when they're referring to the season that their teams are having, they're referring to it being a meat grinder because the best teams beat the best teams. So like Georgia, Alabama. Sorry, my man. Kentucky beat Ole Miss. Vanderbilt beat Alabama. I mean, this is not like there's a whole.
It just shows you how great the conference is.
It doesn't.
Oh, welcome
no,
to the party.
No, and Oklahoma's ass, and there's and I love Oklahoma, but they don't have an offense, and they've got a ton of injuries. So, nope, we can keep going here.
Cheeky McCheeks.
A lot of weirdness. Tennessee lost to Arkansas, almost lost to Florida.
Yep.
Whole lot of tennis suspicions going on out here.
Yeah,
Kentucky beat Ole Miss. We keep going.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of nothing.
Well, sorry ass USF. Did Memphis win that game this weekend?
Yes, killed them.
Right. Yeah, takes Alabama to the second half again this year.
Well, luckily for them,
that score you know what, though? It's the same quarterback that they had to get into the Invitational because of excellent quarterback play. A differentiator. Had to get him in.
Yeah,
he's really taking the ball and run with it this next year. What a development. This guy.
Come on now. I will tell you that I get what you're saying, and especially last year, he's a good college quarterback.
What I'm saying is there's a carryover effect of the things that you're talking about, which is the vulnerability of the best, quote unquote, of the SEC.
No, but I think
is
it's
at
worse
a
this
greater
year.
level than it's been.
Oh, it is
in a long time.
Now that part I completely concur with.
I would say it
Vandy's
started
just
last
out here
year.
steady beating people,
and I would say it started last year. Dude, they needed a miracle to beat Auburn's sorry ass.
They did.
They needed a rally to beat USF on the road last year. But sure, they're one of the top 4 teams in the country. Let's see what this kid does with another year of refinement.
No. I agree with you that part of it's
Alabama's fraudulent. Yes.
Except for Alabama's capable of and did beat Georgia. And
who is capable of laying down so often now that it's kind of their thing. You're saying, what the hell is up with Georgia? You're asking that question of Kirby very often the last 2 seasons. Like, whoa, Alabama or Georgia, excuse me.
Our greater discussion here is how this happens, and it does happen. This is what I would say if I were defending Georgia, because I used to have to do this all the time when Florida State was a juggernaut. Part of the difficulty and the reason that you laud programs like Nick Saban at Alabama, like Coach K at Duke, like you name your consistently awesome programs, is that once you become elite and you cement it by winning championships, plural, I might add, and they have, then nothing else will do. So you go into every season not taking seriously, 10 of the 12 games, 9 of the 12 games. Not that it's okay. That's why you laud the programs that are able to sustain the intensity while they get everybody's best shot, because they're the ones on the top of the mountain. You're capable of losing when you get everybody's best shot and you're maybe disinterested. Georgia looks that way to me often. They often look like that game against Mississippi State really wasn't that close. And yet at one point in the second half, by score, it looked close. Now, you know and I know Mississippi State really was never going to beat Georgia. We've seen a lot of games like that. Florida State, we used to come in and talk about when they would beat somebody 48-28, and they were supposed to win by 40. And we would bitch and complain that they took their foot off the pedal, and they allowed too many yards or too many big plays against a nothing team. And I remember thinking at a time that, well, because it's human nature, when you're easily better or superior to your opponent, you sometimes just go through the motions. That doesn't mean there's not validity to what you're saying. Now, the other part of it is people hear it. Let's say they hear out loud this conversation. They're saying, well, that's fine, Tom, but Florida State, and let's just throw out last year's Georgia-Florida State result because of the 16 people who chose not to play. If we were currently on the road in the SEC every week, we may not win a game. We're awful.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I agree with that, but that's irrelevant to the Georgia discussion.
But you think Georgia's bad?
I think Georgia is slipping. And the evidence points to the fact that Georgia is slipping.
I think Georgia may have a culture problem. They get a player arrested once a week.
Yeah.
You may be right about that. I don't think they're bad, and I think if they care and they're listen, they played Texas this week.
But they're not bad, but they were prohibitively the best team in the country for several years. Yes. I'm saying that that's dated information.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Have they taken a step back from that level of being the unequivocally best team in college football? Perhaps.
Yeah, they are decidedly mortal. I mean, if you're in a dogfight with Kentucky,
sure,
in the same building that Vandy walks into and scores more points, yeah, something's up there.
Oh, I think there's no doubt you can say they're not the team that they were.
It doesn't mean that they can't summon the ability to do something that Georgia, the consistent Georgia teams from a couple of years ago did, which is lay it on you. Like they could. So they're always dangerous.
Well,
but they're not consistent.
No, they're not consistent. And yeah, I think some of it might be what you're alluding to here is, I believe, or something that I just mentioned, that they might have a cultural problem there. Again, you get an arrest a week there these days. I mean, it's nothing for us anymore to wake up and see a headline that a receiver got arrested or a defensive back got arrested. Now, 9 times out of 10, it's because somebody's driving 135 miles per hour at 1 o'clock in the morning, once again in Athens. But lately, they haven't been as kind. There have been abuse charges. You had the squeezing of a pregnant woman. You had all this other stuff that is really alarming beyond traffic problems. I mean, we're talking about serious problems.
They had problems with a lot of unranked teams last year, but they did find it to beat the crap out of Lane 52-17, who often finds a way to lose games. How did they lose that game on Saturday? Ole Miss is in total command of that game, and Lane finds a way. He's inevitable, man. He'll have all the yards. He'll have all the glitz and the glam. They have no business losing that game on Saturday. Zero business.
No, I watched that whole game.
Me too. And I was pulling for LSU because I took them +4 on principle. It's at home at night +4. Come on now.
That's my argument.
And it is a bad beat, but I'll take it.
That's my argument, is that I don't know that anybody just rolls in at night at LSU and gets a win.
Oh, and Kelly's undefeated at night as the head coach of LSU.
And that game is 29-26 in overtime on the road. I'm not going to beat up Lane for that.
No, in the flow of the game, Nussmeier's completing less than 50% of his passes. Dart, they're moving up. They're moving between the 20s, but then there'll be something that shows you that they're not detail sound. It's about the little things.
I just think they're not good enough. I mean, I think that your argument's fair, but I'm not going to put that on Lane in the sense that it's 17-13.5 on the road against LSU. The game was never like crazy.
But it was one of those where you feel like, I remember the Dalvin game in 2016 against Miami, you know, where he pulls the hammy, or 15, sorry. It's the Everett Golson pitch night. Miami is the one sprinting into the locker room at halftime.
Feeling good.
Because the margin is only.
Yeah.
And it should have been something else. It should have been something more. Auden Tate dropped the pass, remember, in the end zone. One of the few times they targeted him before the veteran part of his career. And you're like, man, dude, they're letting them hang around. This is ridiculous. That's what Ole Miss and Lane did with LSU. And he's lost to Kentucky. Now, he'll get another loss and they could still make the playoff because of their preseason ranking. I think there's a gravity to that.
But the only way Ole Miss gets in the playoffs is to not lose another game, because that'll be their third, and they have no significant wins. The win would have to be over Georgia, first of all, and they do play Georgia, so we'll find that out. They're not going to the playoff. That loss the other night hurt them very badly.
It did, but you watch, so they released, and I agree with you that the SEC, by and large this year, is what, more mediocre? They still have the best, but they're more mediocre.
Yeah, you're seeing it right now. You've seen really strange results. Yes.
The machine has already started once again. You've got the ESPN FPI released yesterday.
Oh,
you see where Alabama is?
Yeah, we love the FBI.
See where Alabama is?
No.
3. Third best team in the country, huh?
It's because of the win over Georgia. The straw that stirs the drink is the win over Georgia.
Wow, what a win.
Yeah.
You and Kentucky together. Ekers sorry.
No, Kentucky didn't beat
Kentucky,
Georgia.
excuse me. They didn't. They lost barely.
They lost by a point.
Forgive me.
But they didn't win, though. Look, where we're headed, by the way.
Which doesn't matter. Wins and losses. We need to carry that lesson from last year.
Where we're headed in a 12-team playoff, which is going to be a 14 and then 16-team playoff. And when we get to super conferences, this is something that everybody's going to have to understand. Florida State fans are included on this list. When we get to a place where every weekend you play somebody capable of beating you and that they have an atmosphere that you're going to play in that is decisive, it's not the pros. In the NFL, home field advantage does not exist. Seattle lost on, Thursday night at home to San Francisco, who's injury-riddled. And Seattle is said to be one of those places in the NFL that's like a collegiate atmosphere. They lost that game in the same way that everybody else loses at home these days. I mean, we just dropped 51 in the Superdome on New Orleans. You just watched every team in the league go on the road and win in the NFL. But college, home field does make a big difference typically. Or at least it's not negligible, right? It's something that it's appreciable.
Momentum exists more in college.
Because of the subject of the whims of emotion with kids. What I find fascinating is when we get to that place, and let's say Florida State, you can do it any way you want to do it. But let's say Florida State is in the SEC and is added to the ledger of Florida, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M. I'm just off the top of my head, we're just rattling off teams in the SEC. And you're playing your fair share of road games against that? Better play well. Because anytime you don't, you will lose the game. You will lose the game on the road in those environments. You will. You'll lose the game. And my point of that is to – and through it in the Big Ten now too, with Southern Cal and Oregon and Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State. And you throw us in that league. Now, there are plenty of stinkers in that league, although Indiana's undefeated right now and the Fat Bielema's are playing well. Go play road games there if you're not playing well. You're going to lose those games. So where this is all headed is a bunch of 9-3 teams, not unlike the NFL, when 9-8 teams these days can not only get into the playoffs, they can win a division and go to the Super Bowl. That's where this is going to go. And so these losses are just going to be part and parcel to the brutality of the schedules.
Yeah, and it'll be, just a blip on the radar. Losses were season enders.
Unfortunately, that's happening now. Unfortunately, the significance of Vanderbilt's win over Alabama is really almost null and void.
Well, but that's where, again, the campaign the FPI is doing. Ole Miss is number 5 in the FPI.
The FBI doesn't decide anything. And it's also crazy.
Well, it's the institution where they always throw that lower third on the screen. Where are they in the FPI this, the FPI that? And we know from last year that whatever's on game day, whatever's on that playoff selection show influences unduly the committee.
So Ole Miss has played 3 conference games. They've lost 2 of them. They lost to Kentucky and they lost to LSU. Now both by 3. Both by 3 points. And they beat South Carolina. That's it. Now they're going to get some wins in a row here because they've got Oklahoma who can't score and they've got Arkansas on the road. I would assume they'll win that game.
Maybe.
The game they have to win, is November the 9th, the weekend we play Notre Dame. They have to beat Georgia or they're not going to the playoff. They're not going. They won't have any wins of any merit.
The crazy thing is, though, if they do, they're in.
Probably.
Because all you got to do is skate to the finish line. You don't got to go play in Atlanta anymore. It's just like, there's your win. You're in.
Yeah, and so what I do think maybe is opening up right now, though, are more opportunities for the Big 12 and the ACC. With the SEC looking bad against the bottom feeders of the league, that's the biggest difference. In years past, it was the creme de la creme beating each other, where you could make a legitimate case, Tom. You could. Back in the day, I used to get mad when people would be like, oh, well, it's ridiculous. They've lost twice. I'm like, yeah, they lost on the road at night to LSU, and they lost on the road at night to Georgia. They're terrible. I would get mad about that. But people would say, well, losses have to matter. They do, but not all losses count the same.
Yeah, I am of the mind.
What's different now is that Vanderbilt and Kentucky and South Carolina and other bottom feeders are beating or coming close to beating the best teams in that conference right now.
Watch the rhetoric of how quality those losses have become this year. People are going to speak on Vandy. Well, look at what Vandy's done this year. They're competitive with everybody, and they beat Virginia Tech, and they beat Alabama, and it's going to change. So the Vandy loss is going to be unlike any Vandy loss in history, which would be a season killer. It's going to be a little blip, but you know what? That Vandy team's very good, and you got to give it to Mark Stoops. I mean, he can rise up in big moments here.
He can, though.
Oh, but it's going to be used as a feather in the cap rather than a black mark on a resume.
There's no doubt the investment. That absolutely sways and compels conversations a certain way, and all you got to do is listen to Joe Testator try to,
oh my God,
stroke himself while watching the SEC.
My God.
It's uncomfortable.
It is the worst thing I've ever heard.
I mean, come on, Joe. Jesus, I know your salary is pretty nice, but it can't be so great that you fellatiate the SEC officials, coaches, and commissioner on the air while we're trying to watch a football game.
He makes Gary Daniels
It's uncomfortable.
and Tim Tebow
And I hate it because I used to love Joe.
look like 11 p.m. on Cinemax back in the day compared to his level of stuff that's in the back room of the store. It's ridiculous.
It is crazy to listen to.
It is.
It's gotten uncomfortable.
State-sponsored. It's Kim Jong-un level. Whoa, my man. How great is this in the SEC?
It's weird to say, too. It's like, Joe, just talk about the compelling nature of this game, like the ending of a bad football game. The Tennessee-Florida game was bad football for much of the game. The fourth quarter was compelling, but there was a lot of poor football being played for 3 quarters.
Well, and that's what he was saying at the end of the South Carolina game. And even Jesse Palmer is well, I mean, there's a lot of mistakes here.
I'm going to say this. Jesse Palmer, A, is good. B, he's constantly correcting him.
Always.
He's constantly like, well, this hasn't exactly.
How great is this, Jesse? This hasn't been the cleanest last. But they made that one play. He's like, yes, they made that.
They
play,
made a play, Joe. They made a play.
They fumbled the ball, Joe. South Carolina fumbled the ball. I don't know if you want to call it like a great comeback. South Carolina is in a position. This is an unbelievable. Well, and what do you got next, folks?
Yeah.
The Red River.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a snoozer.
Well, what sucks about that, too, is that shouldn't even be grandfathered in. But I will just say this. For all of the ripping of, our conversation of Kirby, and I sound like a Georgia fan over here, and I'm not. They lost 41-34 to Alabama at Alabama. All right, that's their loss. They beat Clemson, who's going to win the ACC, 34-3. And it was not competitive in the second half of that football game. They had better athletes everywhere. They obviously, we've seen games 41-31 against Mississippi State looks bad. It was 34-13 at one point in that game. It really wasn't competitive. They have games now. We'll find it out. They're at Texas, who I think may be the best team in college football. They'll pound Florida. They're at Ole Miss. That'll be a night game. Won't be easy. That's for Lane's season. That's it. They'll play their ass off. He'll pull out all the stops.
He'll stare into the camera just before kickoff.
Yeah, you get the popcorn and the whole thing. Yeah, they'll play, and then they play Tennessee, which is, not an easy game. If Tennessee plays well, we don't know which Tennessee you're going to get. So they still have 3 games where we'll find out. If they end up with this schedule at 10-2 and their losses are road games to Alabama and Texas, it won't be fair to say
they're number 1 in the country.
Well, no, they're in the playoff, though. That would be my point. They would be in the playoff. Your 2 road losses are to Alabama and Texas. If they happen, you're in. And they would deserve to be in. Would you not agree with that?
Yes, they would deserve to be in, but they would not deserve to
be fawning
lauded.
Over Joe Testador style.
Yes. They would not deserve to have roses thrown at their feet as though, they are.
We're in agreement on that. Yeah.
There's a whole lot of parity this year is my point. Like, the thing you could say is, well, yes, they beat Clemson. I'm not convinced Clemson is all that great either. Don't get me wrong here. There is no that team again.
We don't
this
think.
Year.
Now, what if Texas beats the brakes off of Georgia? Then we're going to say, there's your team.
It is heavily dependent upon, they have a path, but Ewers needs to stop playing like a moron or stop playing injured. One or the other. That game should be on ice within 15 minutes last weekend.
Yes.
And he's making stupid reads, missing wide open guys.
Yeah. I'll say this. If they beat Georgia soundly, they will now have wins, a road win in which they ass hammer Michigan. Obviously, they didn't play a competitive game against Oklahoma this past weekend. That would be a win over Georgia. And then from there, what a win it would be on the road against Vandy, Tom.
Oh, my. I'm telling you. Does Georgia dodge Vandy this year? My God. If Alabama's up 30-0 on them, what would Vandy do?
Let's see, actually. Does Georgia have – you're going to make me look this up before we break. This is pretty funny.
Vanderbilt is 35th in the FPI, by the way. So it's a top 40 FPI team. We don't have looking at Vanderbilt the way that we looked at Vanderbilt all those years.
Here they go. Here's what Georgia does have. They don't have Vanderbilt, Tom, but they'll book in their season with Clemson and Georgia Tech, 2 teams that beat Florida State. So we will see exactly where they're at.
All I'm saying is that, hey, Vandy's a top 40 FPI team. Okay, that's coming to the playoff show. I
get where you're going with this, but by the way, Vandy beat Virginia Tech as well. This is It's not
When am I waving a banner for the ACC?
You're not.
Never.
I'm just pointing out it's not a good look that if we, this is the frustrating aspect of this. I believe that the inevitable decline of the ACC because of lack of money is on display right now. It's happening right now. Everywhere you look, this is a lesser league. It's embarrassing. I mean, Vandy was dominating Virginia Tech for much of that game. They let it get late. They let it get close late, but
what's the kid's name? Young Swaffy?
John Swafford? What?
No, his kid. That got the Raycon.
Why'd you do that?
Gilbert.
It's the worst. It was a Grant?
Jarrett. What was his name?
Oh, shoot.
Anyway, it just feels like those days.
Oh, you're
an
talking.
improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's his? Yeah, hey, son.
Brent? Was it Brent?
I don't know. Maybe the chat can help us out.
I think it was Brent,
but
who got
the
that
Raycom days were ahead of your times. They might have been for the quality of play.
Sweet Jesus.
Chad. There you go.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Zyler.
Chad.
We're longing for the Chad days.
No. The quality of play within the Chad years.
The Chad
We're
years
very
are a little bit
important.
better.
Shannon Young, loansforknowles.com, my man. That is that's where you want to go. This is where you can make good decisions because he does, and he's really, really good. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, loansforknowles.com. Shannon Young, diehard Knoll.
Grant is actually a strong name. Sorry to the Grants out
I wasn't ripping Grant.
No, I said
just
Grant,
couldn't-
but I was trying to think of Chad. A different level. Grant's on a different level.
Yeah, Chad that's shaky. I feel sorry for the good Chads out there too, though. They're at one time they were.
Yeah.
It's just like the Karens that existed before Karen became a thing.
Yeah. Karen.
We're friends with a Karen. She's wonderful, and she's the furthest thing from a Karen.
We are?
Oh yeah. We used to work with a Karen.
That was Karen, spelled differently.
It is Karen. Karen. It's Karen. It's like Peyton Manning and Peyton
Ryan.
Manning.
It's Ryan.
It's like Peyton Manning and Peyton Manning. That's a
Yeah.
funny commercial, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Shannon Young, loansforknowles.com. Speaking of falling interest rates, and I wasn't, if you have credit card debt, you're paying high interest rates, or considering home improvements, give Shannon a call today. Just saved a borrower over $2,000 a month by using the equity in their home to pay off a debt and increase their credit score over 100 points. Shannon's awesome. He is awesome. All jokes aside, Shannon Young, loansforknowles.com.
Not only does Swain Pools and Spas sell the best selection of hot tubs and spas in the city, but Swain also builds, services, renovates, restores in-ground pools. Is your pool ready for the summer season? Ask about our scheduled maintenance plans to ensure your pool is always clean, balanced, and ready for a swim. Does your pool have a leak, broken heater, or maybe needs some restoration? Is your pool showing its age and needs a facelift? Our renovation crew specializes in applying the latest modern techniques to transform your old pool into the oasis you always wanted. Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee's premier pool everything store. Call us today and we can answer all your questions. 850-386-7113. That's 386-7113. Or contact us online at swainpools.com.
And right next to Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee Car Care, the only repair shop where you can take a dip while we repair your whip.
Hey man, have you heard about the Outfit Jewelry's the best in town? So rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. And Outfit Jewelry, jewelry.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show, for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentalta and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem, serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now, sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalta.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like Krispy Kreme, ABC Flooring, Keith Lawson Services, or Tallahassee Automobile and Collectibles Museum. See over 160 vehicles dating from 1894 to 2016 that include the first car ever built in America, 3 Batmobiles, trucks, and motorcycles. Other artifacts include the finest Steinway piano collection in the world, metal cars, antique boats and motors, sports memorabilia, case knives, and much more. Find them all at Mayhan and I-10 or online at TACM.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avastin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Travel and tailgate experience. It was on the screen a moment ago for those driving about. I'll tell you about it really quickly yet again. Go to spiritexpress.com. You get signed up for that Florida State Notre Dame game. And what do they save, Tom? Do they save 20%? Use promo code WARCHANT?
Yes, you get early bird savings. So
okay.
It makes the charter bus a lot more palatable, but it already is palatable because it's a turnkey service. It gets you to and fro Chicago.
It's awesome.
It starts you off at a bar. That's how your day begins. So you have a bloody, a mimosa. You get on the bus. The bus has booze. The tailgate
You're going to need it for that Notre Dame game.
The tailgate is warm. The menu was excellent when we were there last time. It's going to be once again. It's a great day, and it's all planned, and it's all before you if you just go to spiritexpress.com.
You know, the video that we're showing on the screen for those in the radio audience that can't see, it's a really well done thing here where you've got all the, the kids and the people having fun and doing all that stuff. But did you see the size of the shot being poured into that cup of coffee? It's cranking. You felt that good about it.
Apparently, if you hit,
it's the cult.
Apparently, if you hit a certain key on the keyboard.
Oh, that was kind of cool.
Over there, I grazed the keyboard, and it just started to play the cult.
Let's crank the cult. No, but when you go back and watch that lady isn't. She's not jipping anybody out of anything with that shot. You're like, oh, you want an Irish coffee, do you? My Uncle Artie.
Yeah, that's right.
It's getting silly out here.
We're going to fit every county in here.
Here you go, guys. Have a good one.
As always, I recommend when I hear Irish coffee, and I'm Irish, so I like it fine. Hawaiian coffee. Drop some Kahlua in the coffee.
Yeah, it's a different experience.
That's delightful.
I agree with you. It is delightful. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just impressed with that woman doing the shot pouring. Most of the time, they're trying to make their cash.
We heard you come from a bar called the Corner Pocket, so we wanted to pour a Corner Pocket shot for you. Remember those Monday and Sunday watch parties back in the day? Those shots were those were goblets.
Yeah. Bill wrap his arms around you. You're not leaving that place. You might be there for a minute.
Come on over here. Let's play the bowling game.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Well, we were there till 4 a.m. That was just you, me, and him playing.
Silver strike.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Staff had left.
Couldn't even see straight. I keep looking at this report about the Hutchinson injury. I'm sorry. I can't help it. We used to do the injury of the year. We would talk about unfortunately, those that suffered some pretty brutal injuries that I would have to. The muscle was torn completely from the pubic bone.
And Adrian Beltre.
For those that don't remember, the Adrian Beltre injury happened on a two-hopper off the testicles. which led to internal bleeding of the testicles.
Yeah, unconfirmed, but at least 105 off the bat.
And also, if you recall, he had to be taken to a hospital. Charles Johnson was catching for the Baltimore Orioles in a game that I was at. Years later, he caught for the Florida Marlins at that time. You remember Charles Johnson?
Yeah, CJ.
Yeah. Charles Johnson was catching at a game. I was at the game, and it was a foul ball, one hop off the plate, straight up into the boys. And you could hear it hit the cup, which you knew rattled those suckers because it was like just using a hammer to hit it. And he passed out. He fell and he was motionless. He passed out. They had to rush him to the hospital. And I was there to see it. And I remember in real time thinking, it kind of looked like that hit him in the testicles. And then they showed the replay, and I couldn't believe they did. That was the only time, the one and only time they showed the replay. And I went, oh, sir, nobody deserves that.
What's the worst shot you've ever suffered to the boys? Do you know it?
I delivered the worst shot that Matt Millar ever suffered to the boys by accident.
Yeah.
You got to have better hands, Matt. I threw a laser with a Nerf ball that we used to play catch with in the hall during commercial breaks, and it was spot on, obviously accurate, and he just didn't get his hands down. And you could hear it just it split him, and he went straight to the ground and told me which button to push to pull up the music. Right. He was in agony. I made a tackle my sophomore year in practice on big-ass William Floyd, and when you tackled William, you had to bring it. And I was trying to come from the side to wrap the waist and roll. I was going to roll him over to the top of me. And when I did, we rolled, and some other defender trying to get in on the tackle somehow, I don't know, kneed me in the boys full on. And when we went to the ground, I thought I was going to cry. I thought, all I remember is I thought I'm going to cry. I couldn't breathe. It just...
The worst shot I ever delivered was I scared my buddy Teddy Larson. He came into the bathroom.
Hey,
well,
what's going on here?
It's a mini hallway, so around the corner you could just sit there and scare. I didn't know who it was. I just thought I was going to scare somebody, and it was Teddy. Wrong guy to scare.
That's true.
So yeah, because he ended up playing the NFL for 10 years. He lifts me up off the ground onto the wall. It's like it's instinct. He
was scared.
He was scared,
and he grabed your ass.
And I'm laughing, and then he's holding me. And so I'm flailing, and I had
accidentally.
No, I had the steel-tipped wingtip shoes because we had uniforms.
He pulled you up that high?
He pulled. Well, we went right down. He went. I took off like a bat out of the hell to get in the classroom because the classroom is safe.
Yes,
he can't do anything to me in Mrs. Bivens' science class. So I got in there. The worst one I ever wore was in computer lab. My buddy Richard, I was messing with him. Remember those mouse pad like ergonomic pads that would be at the base of the keyboard? He used it as a whip, and it got me. And the whip cracked right there. I could describe it better on bellying up where it got me, how it got me.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But safe to say,
I'm already doing the wiggle thing.
I got a demerit for yelling out the F word when it happened. And I dropped to my knees. Yeah.
Ridiculous. No, I keep going back to this Aiden Hutchinson injury because if you didn't see it, you might have turned away from the game because Dallas was getting bludgeoned by Detroit, or you may have tuned in for that very reason. But Tom, they've had to place a steel rod in his leg during the surgery. He was sacking Dak Prescott, and it snapped above the ankle.
So Dak went to bed thinking about the sound of that last night.
Everybody did. It was the classic Joe Theismann, people just immediately jumping up and pointing like, hey, that's when players for both teams are like, no, this poor bastard, we got to get some help out here with the quickness. Anyhow, my man, it snapped above the ankle. It collided with the left leg of Alan McNeil, and he was pulling Dak Prescott down. But the problem is it snapped there, but he also, this is ugly. He fractured the tibia, and it's a compound fracture of the fibula. I'll tell you something, man. First of all, we all hate that. That's terrible. But after the game, they were talking to Dan Campbell. And look, I know, this is obvious. They asked him about the injury, and he's like, he's going to miss some time. You think? Not only is he going to miss some time, that could be the end of his career. You're talking about a defensive end that, and you hear defensive ends in the pros discuss flexion and the things that you have, the bend you have to have in your feet and your ankles to get the corner.
Brandon Jenkins' career.
And lower the mast. And these are huge dudes, 260 pounds. They get low and then they rip up or they bull. All of it's dependent on your ability, that flexibility of your ankle and your feet, despite being that size and that explosive. I certainly hope not. That very well may be the end of his career. And that's awful. That's awful because he's been nothing but dominant in 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's Brandon Jenkins was the Franck.
Mm.
And that was, everything. He got I think it was a cup of coffee with Washington is where he went.
Yeah.
But it was just never, he was going to be a top 50 pick, probably a first rounder.
Yeah, he was going to be a really good player. Yeah, he had a sack in this game, by the way. He was at for the year 6.5, 7 sacks. Oh, we got a break? I thought we were done with breaks. I haven't even done the news. That's how chitty chatty we get in this third hour, kids. Here's the news.
Your local news now.
In addition to law enforcement and linemen, the Florida National Guard is also responding to the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Governor DeSantis said 6,500 soldiers and airmen have been activated, including emergency management assistance compact units to help with recovery efforts in impacted areas. National Guard units from other states are also helping, including units from South Carolina, Virginia, Michigan, New York, and Louisiana. There are also liaison officers stationed in 26 counties who have received 124 missions. To assist with rescues and recovery, the Florida Guard has 31 rotary aircraft, 13 boats, and around 440 high-wheeled tactical vehicles. The FLNG will help local authorities with search and rescue operations, clearing roads, supporting law enforcement, distributing supplies, and food mitigation, among other necessary actions. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Now, here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Starting off the week warm and dry, and then much cooler midweek after a cold front moves through, with highs dropping down to near that 70-degree mark and lows in the upper 40s. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 60. Tuesday, sunny, slight chance of a shower with a high of 81. More sunshine on Wednesday with a high of 70. Same for Thursday, high of 72. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
This is Hugh Tomlinson, president of the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. I invite you to join our historic club supporting local football since 1949. Don't miss our exciting events featuring legendary and popular football personalities. Get updates from FSU coaches, win great door prizes, and stay on top of all local football. Attend our next event featuring sports analyst and former UGA star David Pollock on October 29th. Get your tickets or join our club at TallahasseeQBClub.com. That's TallahasseeQBClub.com. Get in the game. Get in the club.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, I hope he's able to come back. I saw you guys talking about that stuff. I hate to see anybody get hurt like that, but that's a lot. That's a lot of trauma. And it's true, R. Wilmer, back in the day, ACLs, they were a death sentence for players. They're not anymore. But, man, a broken fibula and tibula, it's hard to imagine he could. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and I am speculating.
Vic came back from it, I think. But again, it's speed and agility versus power and explosiveness.
I think it's tough for a defensive end. That's going to be interesting.
Vic might only have been the fibula, though. I don't know if it was the tibia as well.
Oh, anytime I read about or watch or hear anything about big bone snapping, I've broken my arm twice, my left arm. And I still deal with some of the ramifications from that, but nothing horrible. But I mean, seeing people break big bone, Lewis, I'm not still riding with Utah. Cam Rising gets his 8th year. By the way, Utah,
he's questionable to play this weekend.
Of course he is. He was hurt in that game against Arizona State. I watched that game. That's a really good win for Dillingham, man. They're having a good season. I don't know if that it's sustainable in Tempe right now. I'm happy for Dillingham just fine, but they have an insane number of transfers. He did the Dion method. He went out and brought in 40-something transfers, and we'll see. I don't know if that's sustainable or not. It's working right now. And the reason that win is significant is that Utah's no joke. That's a program. I'm not talking about this year. I'm not telling you they're a great team. But Kyle Whittingham's one of the best coaches in college football. And his teams play a certain way. And I know this because I love watching Utah play, and I bet on them. And I know about Utah. I picked them to win the Pac-12 the last 2 years. They did all of those things. Now, I know they're not in the big Pac-12 anymore because it doesn't exist. But they're physical. They always were more physical. Lots of teams had more skill. Lots of teams had more skill than Utah. But they will punch you in the face repeatedly, and they play defense, and they play downhill, and they run the ball. They believe in tight ends. They usually have a physical quarterback. They have all those things. For Dillingham and Arizona State to beat them is a big deal because it says something more about the what for of Dillingham's team right now. They're playing hard. You have to. You don't beat Utah otherwise.
It's the bamboo offense.
But, again, I don't know if it's going to end up being a thing like 2 years from now. I don't know if that's going to be a sustainable model. I do think no matter if it's him or not, and I know we got to go, there's no excuse for not winning in Tempe, Arizona. It's one of the great places to go and live and play football, and that campus has a lot to like, much like Florida State. Good work out of you. Good work, everybody else. Thanks for being here, guys. Be well. Till tomorrow. Peace.